Chapter 1081. Solitary Eagle raised his head and looked at the ceiling, not moving at all, like a statue. No one would notice that Boss Eagle, who was looking at the sky with his hands behind his back, was actually rolling his eyes with all his might. Those familiar with Jun Moxie like Li Yuran, Tang Yuan, and Mo Wu Dao, and the rest, all had their faces twitching intensely. Fatty Tang was the most exaggerated. When he heard Jun Moxie say this, he almost couldn't catch his breath and started coughing violently, as if he was suffering from asthma, coughing until all the fat on his body was like the surface of the sea that had encountered a hurricane. This was truly the greatest joke in the world. In terms of bullying men and tyrannical women, there was probably no one in the entire Tianxiang city who did it more than Jun Daxiao, right? Only the heavens knew why this fellow didn't even blush when he said this. From the looks of it, Jun Moxie really didn't need to blush. Why should this evil monarch blush? When did this seat bully men and tyrannical women? The only time this seat lost his virginity was because he was drugged, or, although this saying was a little too much, but it was very close to the truth. As for what happened before, what has it got to do with me? Not allowed to bully men and tyrannical women is the first rule that my evil monarch manor has set for the pugilistic world. Jun Moxie said slowly. Secondly, not allowed to bully the good people. Jun Mo Sierra rolled his eyes. The lives of the common people are already hard enough. We have learned martial arts, and we are chivalrous people. We serve the country and the people. We are chivalrous people. We are worse than pigs and dogs if we continue to bully them. So, those who dare to violate this rule will be killed without mercy. The third rule is not allowed. The above are the 9 killing orders of the evil monarch manor. Anyone who violates these 9 rules, no matter where they go, the evil monarch manor will definitely kill them. No matter how strong the power behind them is, they will not be able to protect you. So everyone must take note. I do not wish for the hands of the evil monarch manor to be stained with the blood of you, your relatives, your friends, and your fellow sect members. Jun Moxie listed out 9 things that were not allowed to be done. 9 sure kill. In addition, I want to solemnly talk about the matter of the evil monarch token here. Jun Mo Xie clasped his hands behind his back. Suddenly, a large cloud of smoke appeared in the air. It floated in the air, and after a while, it formed a strange pattern. In the middle, there was the word order. There was only one word on it, evil. Around him, however, was the embrace of the sun and the moon. The sabers and swords looked ferocious. The overall shape of the sabers and swords could only be described with one word, kill. This is the keepsake of this mansion, the evil monarch token. If someone with the token finds you, please give me some face. Jun Moxie clasped his hands behind his back. His eyes flashed like lightning as he scanned the faces of everyone present. As long as someone gives me face, I will naturally give him face as well. Jun Moxie said lightly, if someone doesn't give me face, I don't have any other bad habits, except that my temper is a little bad, and I have a bad habit of seeking revenge for the smallest grievance. Who doesn't have some bad habits in life? Jun Mo Xie shook his head and sighed in a melancholic manner, as if he was very dissatisfied with his own temper. Threat. This was definitely a threat, an open and honest threat. This was undoubtedly saying that all the heroes of the world must listen to the orders of the evil monarch manor. Those who didn't would be executed. Everyone, do you have any questions or opinions? Jun Moxie smiled lightly, his expression carefree and gentle as he asked sincerely. Everyone present looked at each other in dismay. There were even many people who looked at Mo Wu Dao, Shiruo Chun, and the other 2 sect lords. This evil monarch manor is acting so tyrannically, and the 3 holy lands are not going to say anything? Where's your pride and arrogance from the past? Unexpectedly, Mo Wu Dao and the rest did not say a single word, still sitting calmly on their chairs, as if they had not heard Jun Moxie's words at all. Shiruo Chun and Huyan Ao Bo were also frowning in deep thought. Only Mo Wu Dao's brows twitched slightly, and he glanced at someone secretly, as if he was sending some sort of message. Does anyone have any questions or opinions? Then I'll take it that everyone has silently agreed. Haha, looks like everyone's sense of justice is still very strong. June Moxie laughed heartily and said, "Then this matter is decided." Wait, a burly man with a full beard stood up. This person belonged to the Fong family of Hermitage, and he was someone who was used to being unreasonable in the continent. At this moment, he finally couldn't help but jump out. His courage came from that look in Mo Wudao's eyes. That look clearly expressed Mo Wudao's intentions. I have the 3 holy lands behind me. Although Sect Lord Mo did not say anything, but since he had given me instructions, I naturally have to use this opportunity to show my loyalty. At this moment, when no one else had the guts to stand up, it was a great opportunity for me to take all the credit. In any case, in front of so many people, and even in front of the 3 sect lords of the 3 holy lands, he was also a guest who had come to congratulate them. No matter how arrogant, evil, or unreasonable this June Moxie was, he wouldn't go so far as to kill him on the spot, right? With this thought in mind, he stood up with a whoosh. He actually had the posture of being unyielding and filled with righteous indignation. You have an opinion? June Moxie looked at him and smiled warmly. Yes. The burly man puffed out his chest. Your words are inappropriate. There is no you. You can't represent anyone. You can only represent yourself. June Moxie said amicably. I seem to have mentioned earlier that I'm a slightly narrow-minded person, and I hate to hear different opinions. So you don't have to say any specific opinions. It's meaningless and a waste of time. The burly man was about to speak when he suddenly felt a strange chill. He couldn't help but turn pale with fright as he cried out, You can die. June Moxie made a grabbing motion in the air. The 2 of them were separated by a full 30 zhong, but June Moxie's palm suddenly clenched together, forming a fist in front of his chest. That burly man didn't even have time to say a single word before his head suddenly exploded, shattered. His head was crushed by June Moxie in the air. Fresh blood splattered everywhere. That crisp sound of bones shattering seemed to resound in everyone's hearts. Who else has a different opinion? Or does anyone disagree with the evil monarch Manor's actions? You can speak out boldly, June Moxie said sincerely. Other than that small flaw of mine, I am a very democratic person. I am the best at accepting different opinions. If anyone has any questions, don't keep it in your hearts. If there's anything, you should bring it out to discuss, right? If I'm wrong, I naturally won't stubbornly persist. I will definitely follow the flow of good advice. When the crowd heard his words and saw the gentle expression on his face, then looked at the headless corpse that was slowly slipping to the ground, all of them felt a chill in their hearts. Who would dare to believe your nonsense? F***CK. It's already like this, and you still have the cheek to call yourself democratic? Is this what you mean by follow the flow of good advice? He didn't even have the time to speak, and you killed him. And what's going on? June Moxie suddenly frowned and pointed at the corpse, asking in confusion. Why did this hero suddenly commit suicide? Could it be that he thinks our hospitality is not good enough? Everyone felt a chill down their spines. He suddenly committed suicide. You're the one who suddenly committed suicide. Your whole family suddenly committed suicide. Of course, this was only lingering in everyone's hearts. No one dared to say it out loud. Zhang Daniel, how did you become the leader of the courtyard guards? Didn't you see that all the guests committed suicide? Why are you still standing there in a daze? June Moxie ordered coldly. Quickly investigate the reason. Zhang Daniel replied with a bitter expression and hurriedly ran over. After checking for a while, he said, reporting to Manor Master, after this friend heard about your grand plan, he was overjoyed. He was so excited that all the blood in his body rushed to the top of his head. Extreme joy turned to sorrow, and his head actually exploded. I see. He's a sentimental person. June Moxie sighed. Give him a lavish burial. Yes. Zhang Daniel waved his hand and called a few people to carry the corpse out. Then, the servants quickly came up and cleaned up the place. Sentimental person. Everyone in the hall did not know whether to laugh or cry at this conclusion. Overjoyed and agitated, blood rushed to the top of his head, causing his head to explode. There's actually such a saying. This is a little too ridiculous, right? Can't they come up with a better reason? Naturally, justice is in the hearts of the people. Even in the evil monarch manner, if anyone commits crimes, I will also punish them severely. Jun Moxie said lightly. The evil monarch token has a total of 4 sides. It will appear in the pugilistic world once every month. 8 people will be in charge of it. 2 people will be in charge of one side, and they will go to the north, south, east, and west. The person in charge of the token is not allowed to kill indiscriminately or act arbitrarily. The cause and effect of the killing must be investigated clearly, and a written report will be made. If there is any mistake, the person in charge will die. So, although it's the evil monarch token, it can bring peace to the world. Jun Moxie said heavily. The evil monarch manor's punishment hall will be heavily monitoring this matter. If anyone kills indiscriminately or wrongly, they can only repay with their lives. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. If that's the case, it'll be easier to accept. I was just afraid that you guys would kill indiscriminately, after everyone discussed for a while, and seeing that the 3 holy lands actually did not take any action, they could only nod their heads helplessly in agreement. Besides, this was just a nod. There was no written form, and there were no corresponding enforcement measures, so everyone did not have any concerns. In fact, most of them were thinking, even if we go back and refuse to acknowledge it, what can you do? The mountains are high and the emperor is far away. Even if your misty mansion is powerful, how can you care so much? Even if you can kill 1 or 2 people, can you kill all the Xian cultivators in the world? Even if I really give you a nominal status, you won't be able to bite my D*CK off, since no one has any objections. Then it's decided. Jun Moxie smiled comfortingly. Then his eyes turned serious and he said slowly, Everyone, please remember that I, Jun Moxie, am not joking. This is an advantage that I'm very proud of. He ended his speech with a light sentence. The banquet also began. As the cups swayed, the wine warmed their ears. Quite a number of people had also completely forgotten about this matter. Now at my comrade's house in Jinan. After borrowing from Lai Wu, I came to Jinan. My comrade did not say anything. After drinking in the morning, his eyes were blurry. He only asked me one question. How much do I need? I said, I still need 200,000. In the afternoon, I slept at my comrade's house. He did not come back for the whole afternoon. When he came back at night, he threw 200,000 into my arms and said, Hurry up and take it. Don't frown in front of me. Scram. I can't stand men frowning. I cried because my comrade is not rich. None of this money belongs to him. Even if I die, I will remember this friendship. Even if I die, I will pay it back. After all, I still have someone who treats me sincerely. Someone who treats me wholeheartedly. I am satisfied because in this world there is still one person. This kind of relationship is enough for one person in a lifetime. I don't want people to call him an idiot just because of me. I will take the earliest car back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. I have let everyone down these few days. Sorry. Chapter 1082. Especially those subordinate families of the 3 Holy Lands. They were even thinking about how to cooperate with the 3 Holy Lands to completely destroy the evil monarch manor after the war for seizing the heavens and plunder the wealth of the evil monarch manor. The wealth of this place was simply too alluring. As for the rules of the evil monarch manor, why would they care about it? Never in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that just because they didn't care about it this time, it would lead to such a serious consequence. Everyone, please enjoy. Jun Moxie said gently. This seat will take his leave. Wait, Manor Lord Jun. We've come here today because we really have something important to discuss. Shiruo Chun said. After today's meeting, everyone can stay for a few more days. No matter what it is, everyone can discuss it. Today is the opening day of the evil monarch manor. There's no need to talk about mundane matters. Jun Moxie looked at the tens of people from the 3 Holy Lands, as well as the people from the Misty Mansion, and smiled meaningfully. I believe that this seat will definitely not let everyone return empty-handed. This was a hint, but it also allowed these people who had their own ulterior motives to calm down. June Moxie clasped his hands apologetically, turned around, and left. His white robes fluttered, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Countless servants rushed out from all directions. Fine wine and delicacies flowed out like flowing water. Solitary Eagle, Feng Wan Yun, Jun Wui, and the rest led the people from the evil monarch manor to toast, and the atmosphere was unprecedentedly lively. It seemed like it was impossible for it to not be lively. Not to mention those pugilistic people who were already leaning towards the evil monarch manor. This trip could be said to be a great harvest. Not only did they establish a connection with the evil monarch manor, they even received a few extremely precious gifts. Not to mention anything else, just those heavenly grade wines that were used to entertain the guests. Although it wasn't to the extent that they couldn't be found in the market, but the stock was still extremely rare. Being able to drink to their heart's content today was definitely worth it. Those who maintained a neutral stance, those who disdained June Moxie's tyrannical style, and those who leaned towards the side of the three holy lands, did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. Not to mention the evil monarch who would kill people without a word. Just a few people who were toasting in front of them were either the holy venerable or the holy emperor. What kind of people were these? They could take their lives with just a flick of their fingers. How much face were they giving you by toasting? If you don't hurry up and accept it, aren't you looking for trouble? When all the Jianghu people in the hall were toasting each other, the women upstairs were also having a lively conversation. After getting along for a while, everyone went from strangers to acquaintances, and now they were already familiar with each other. Elder Sister Mei, Elder Sister Wan, Younger Sister Xiao, why are all of your expressions so strange? What's wrong with all of you? Miao Xiao Miao looked at these sisters that she had just met with a little astonishment. Not only were these sisters beautiful, they also had good tempers. It was as if they had hit it off with her the moment they met, and it was as if they were on the same wavelength. For some reason, she felt that they were treating her with sincerity. This matter could be said to be rather illogical. She was a member of the Misty Mansion, and, in name, she was closer to the side of the three holy lands. But they were treating her with such sincerity the moment they met. This was truly strange. Even if Dugu Xiaoi was young and ignorant, it would still be fine. But Mei Shuiyin was the Tian Fa queen. What kind of character was she? It was impossible for her to be like this, especially when there was someone from the three holy lands present, Qiaoing, but she just had to acknowledge it. Otherwise, with the fact that they had just met, it was impossible for Miao Xiao Miao to ask such a deep question. But at this moment, as if they had heard the words of the evil monarch downstairs, all of their expressions became strange. Miao Xiao Miao could not help but feel puzzled in her heart. Just what was going on? Although the words of the evil monarch sounded a little unpleasant and extremely arrogant, but to establish a sect, one needed to be domineering in the first place, and they had to flaunt themselves a little. His words were not wrong, although it was a little overbearing. He had the ability to do so. In this world where the bigger fist was the most powerful, no matter what he did, it was only right. After all, if the evil monarch did not completely suppress the people who had objections at the first moment, this opening ceremony would most likely end in tragedy. This so-called killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Although this method of the evil monarch seemed to be cruel and even crazy, it was the best method at the moment. Miao Xiao Miao believed that even if no one had stood out just now, the evil monarch would have thought of a way to provoke one of them to kill and establish his prestige. This prestige must be established. But why were the expressions of Elder Sister Mei and the rest like this? Even if the others were offended because they were soft-hearted, but as the former Tian Fa queen, Mei Shuiyin should not have such a reaction, right? Younger sister has misunderstood. We are not killing for him to establish our prestige. Mei Shuiyin smiled helplessly. How would you know what kind of person Mo Xie is normally? And although you know a certain side of him, you don't know that this fellow is actually Mo Junya. This fellow is pretending to be a dragon, pretending to be a tiger. There's no way to explain it clearly. I really didn't expect that Big Brother Mo would actually be able to say such words. It's truly unexpected, ah. Duga Xiaoi had a strange expression on her face as she praised. However, his hooligan methods are really good. If I had known that there would be such a fun thing, I would have really gone to join the fun. Meow Xiao Meow made a sound and was speechless. As expected, people who were not from the same family would not enter the same door. Just at this moment, Xiao Ying, who was facing the door, suddenly straightened her back and her eyes turned sharp. The originally calm and elegant expression on her face instantly changed. Meow Xiao Meow also sensed something and raised her head to look. Suddenly, a person appeared in the empty doorway. The appearance of this person caused even a girl like Meow Xiao Meow's eyes to light up involuntarily. The person who had come had black hair like the clouds, and a simple golden crown casually held his black hair in place. His brows were like swords, his eyes like stars, and his nose was sharp. His thin lips gave off a feeling of decisiveness, and the shape of his face was perfect. Tall and slender, with arms like an ape and a waist like a bee, he slowly walked in step by step. Moreover, every single move he made carried a natural and unrestrained aura that was pleasing to the eye. It was like a clear spring in a mountain stream, or a cool breeze that passed through a forest, bringing along a sense of elegance. But as his eyes flashed, there seemed to be a kind of calmness and arrogance that came from his bones and soul. That flashing gaze seemed to have a kind of evil nature that looked down on the entire world. That was a kind of arrogant and unsheathed sword, and a kind of arrogance that pointed to the heavens. Almost at the first instant that she saw this person, Meow Xiao Meow naturally confirmed the identity of this person, evil monarch, Zhu Moxie. In this world, apart from this young man, there was truly no one else who was worthy of the name evil monarch. Just by looking at him, this name that could shake the entire world floated up from the bottom of one's heart. The tyrannical aura of the name evil monarch was displayed to its fullest on this person, although he had not spoken yet, and had not personally seen him make a move. That kind of transcendent aura that he exuded was already the best way to explain the origin of the name evil monarch. All the evils in the world worship me as their master. Truly worthy of a name. Truly worthy of a name. And in the instant that they met for the first time, Meow Xiao Meow's heart surged with an inexplicable anger. That was anger towards the three holy lands. This person in front of her was like a celestial being that had descended from the heavens, proud and aloof like the white clouds, free and unrestrained like the autumn wind. If he were to explode, he would definitely be like a bolt of lightning. How could such a person be the lustful, shameless, tyrannical, evil bastard that Mo Wu Dao had spoken of? Meow Xiao Meow firmly believed that the things that Mo Wu Dao had spoken of definitely had nothing to do with this person in front of her, with this person's temperament. How could he have done such despicable, shameless, and despicable things? Then everything was definitely a plot by the three holy lands to slander him. The three holy lands actually dared to slander the person in front of them like this? This was truly a great loss to the peak powers of the Xian continent and the majestic demeanor of the three holy lands. Not mentioning anything else, just looking at the beauties in this room, which one of them was not peerless in their generation. Since Jun Moxie was able to obtain the favor of these beauties, why would he take the initiative to flirt with those ordinary women? According to what her mother had told her about the differences between women and women, all the women in this room, other than Guanqing Han, were still virgins. What kind of self-control did he need to have when he had so many peerless beauties, but did not wantonly engage in lewd acts? That Mo Wu Dao was really too hateful. Other than that, when Meow Xiao Meow saw Jun Moxie for the first time, for some reason, an indescribable feeling of familiarity and closeness welled up in her heart. This kind of feeling was so intense that even Meow Xiao Meow herself felt a little strange. In fact, her heart was flustered. Why? Why would I have such a familiar feeling towards him? Why would such an impossible thing happen? The one I like is Junyi. Only Junyi. How could I change my mind at the sight of someone else? What am I thinking? This kind of thought shouldn't even have occurred to me. With this thought, Imo Junye's figure once again appeared in her mind, completely destroying the image of Jun Xiao. These two ladies are truly outstanding beauties. This one was almost stunned into a daze. Jun Moxie smiled lightly as he looked at Xiao Ying and Miao Xiao Miao. There was a hint of affection in his eyes as he looked at Miao Xiao Miao. Greetings, Manor Lord Jun. Miao Xiao Miao hurriedly stood up to greet him. There was still some restraint in her expression. Although this person in front of her was so young and handsome that it was unbelievable, he had a status that was on par with her grandfather, Miao Jingyun. But Miao Xiao Miao did not dare to show the slightest bit of disrespect. But she was also puzzled in her heart. Why is the way this person is looking at me so strange? Jun Moxie, how is my exquisite lotus now? Xiao Ying looked at him indifferently and asked bluntly, Exquisite lotus. Oh. Jun Moxie raised his brows and smiled. How shameful. Chapter 1083. Miss Xiao has misunderstood. There's no need to be so worried. The exquisite lotus is fine. It's just that it misses you. Jun Moxie's words caused Xiao Ying's face to flush red as she glared at him. What nonsense are you spouting? This fellow, he's saying that he misses me the moment we meet. Miss Xiao seems to have misunderstood again. What I meant was the exquisite lotus misses you a lot. After all, you've been raising it for so long. Jun Moxie said innocently. You. Xiao Ying's face paled in anger. Dugu Xiaoi cackled. Big brother Imo Xia. You're acting like a hooligan again. Jun Moxie's face darkened as he glared at her. How am I acting like a hooligan? Little lass, don't spout nonsense and confuse me, or I'll give you a good spanking later. I'm just thinking about how the exquisite lotus has been away from Miss Xiao for quite some time now, so I'm sure it misses its previous owner. The exquisite lotus can't speak, so I'm just speaking out its thoughts on its behalf. How am I acting like a hooligan? Speaking out a plant's thoughts? How dare you come up with such a lame excuse? Xiao Ying's face reddened again as she said hatefully, The exquisite lotus misses me? You seem to understand the exquisite lotus quite well. Isn't that so? Jun Moxie sighed sincerely. That exquisite lotus of yours is really intelligent. Ever since it came to me, it's been telling the other plants how good you are. Now, many of the spirit herbs here have been moved by it, and they're all looking forward to your arrival, hoping that you can stay with them forever. That would be great. Xiaoying was both amused and angry at the same time. This fellow really knew how to speak. Was he trying to fool a 3-year-old? You said that there are many spirit herbs? Where are they? It seemed like when Xiao Ying saw the Yin spirit ginseng, her heart was already itching. Now that she heard Jun Moxie's words, even though she did not believe Master Xiao's nonsense, she could not help but feel a strong sense of curiosity. Such precious herbs are naturally placed in the safest and easiest place to take care of. It's in my bedroom. When are you going? Jun Xiao said shyly. You lecture. Xiao Ying was furious. His elixirs were actually all in his bedroom. Thinking back to what he had said earlier, many elixirs are waiting for your arrival, hoping that you can be with them forever. Doesn't that mean that I'm going to live in his bedroom, just like his medicinal herbs? This pervert. Ha! Today, the two ladies came here to congratulate me. I can't let the two of you go back empty-handed. It's just that I've just opened my mansion. It's not as big as the Misty Mansion or the Holy Land. I really don't have much to offer. I can only treat each of you to a piece of lotus root. I hope the two of you can forgive me. Jun Moxie said with a slight smile. Each of you to a piece of lotus root? Do you think that your lotus root is an elixir? We came from thousands of miles away just to eat a piece of lotus root. The two ladies were a little dissatisfied. You actually have the nerve to say that you are poor in front of us. Everyone in the hall has a portion of the austere hard orchid and the snow silk handkerchief. It seems that the Misty Mansion or the Holy Land may not be able to offer these two items. Also, the luminous pearl, the tea herb, and the Yin spirit ginseng. Which one of them is not a rare treasure in the world? Xiao Ying and Miao Xiao Miao had eaten the exquisite jade lotus before. They naturally knew that it was only the size of a peanut. Naturally, it wouldn't be cut into slices. So, what June Moxie took out was definitely an ordinary lotus root. Why would we care about your bullsh *T lotus root? Could it be better than the exquisite jade lotus? Seeing that the two ladies were unhappy and were even glaring at him angrily, June Moxie didn't think much of it. He smiled faintly. With a flick of his wrist, a large piece of lotus root appeared in his hand. A lotus root that was as thick as a fist and a foot long. In terms of size, it really wasn't anything special. It might even be slightly smaller than the ordinary lotus root in the world. However, this lotus root was jade white in color. It was crystal clear and could almost be seen from one side to the other. Also, the moment the crystal clear lotus root appeared, the whole room was suddenly filled with an indescribable, refreshing smell. It was simple yet elegant and pleasant. This room was originally filled with the distant fragrance of the immemorial tea herb, which did not dissipate for a long time. However, the instant the sparkling lotus root appeared, the distant tea fragrance instantly disappeared, leaving behind only the pleasant smell that came afterwards. This indescribable, enchanting fragrance made people feel refreshed the moment they smelled it. It was as if even their souls were being cleansed at this moment. At this moment, Xiao Ying's beautiful eyes suddenly widened to their limits. Her small mouth also opened wide without any regard for her appearance, as if she had seen something inconceivable. Miao Xiao Miao was also startled, but she was still a little uncertain in her heart. It can't be right. How could it grow so big? But Xiao Ying suddenly shouted, "Exquisite jade lotus!" It's really the exquisite jade lotus. June Moxie smiled and nodded. It's really the exquisite jade lotus? How is that possible? Xiao Ying's body swayed when she received the other party's confirmation. She almost fainted. She used all her strength to barely control herself, but she still couldn't help but take a big stride forward. Let me see. How can it be like this? How can it be so big? Miao Xiao Miao was also stunned. This is the exquisite jade lotus? This is too inconceivable, right? How can it be so big? Taking the big lotus root from June Daxiao's hands, Xiao Ying's face was filled with a kind of fanaticism similar to pilgrimage. This is the exquisite jade lotus born from the exquisite lotus. How can there be such a big one? Turning it over and over, Xiao Ying carefully examined it as if she had found a treasure. Her white face became redder and redder, and her breathing quickened. When placed together with the pure, white, exquisite lotus, it actually complemented each other. Such a successful cultivation. How did you do it? Xiao Ying hugged the lotus root tightly in her arms and looked at June Moxie eagerly. June Moxie smiled faintly, but did not reply. Xiao Ying instantly came to a realization. How he did it was his own business. Why should he tell you? The relationship between the evil monarch manor and the three holy lands was very delicate. How could he tell me? Thinking till here, she couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. I've misspoken. Although she did not ask anymore, the reluctance in her tone was even more obvious. It's not that rare. I just obtained a heaven and earth spirit vein by chance. June Moxie smiled warmly and looked at her. I opened a pool above the spirit vein and used the spirit chi of the spirit vein to grow the exquisite lotus, and I obtained this exquisite jade lotus. It's just that simple. Xiao Ying instantly understood. So that's how it is. Using a heaven and earth spirit vein to grow the exquisite lotus was naturally much more effective and faster than relying on the power of nature in the Heaven Saint Palace. In fact, this was also the only way to grow the exquisite lotus so quickly and obtain such a huge lotus root. At the same time, Xiao Ying felt a strange sense of joy in her heart. There was no need for him to say such a secret, but he told me that he's not from the same side. To possess the legendary heaven and earth spirit vein. Something like this, even the people from the Heaven Saint Palace would definitely be jealous. Once the news was leaked, there would definitely be endless trouble, and they might even become the target of the entire pugilistic world. But June Moxie told her this news without any hesitation, just because she asked him. How did you do it? This was the greatest trust he had in her. Looking at June Moxie's warm eyes, Xiao Ying's heart skipped a beat, and she felt a strange sense of bliss. That was a deep sense of satisfaction that came from the bottom of her heart. Don't worry, this secret will forever remain in my heart and will never be revealed, Xiao Ying said in a low voice. Although her voice was soft, it was unusually resolute, and as if she was swearing an oath. Even she herself did not realize how sincere she was when she said this. Chuckling lightly, June Moxie smiled lightly and took the exquisite jade lotus. Then he placed it flat on his left palm, and with his right palm like a knife, he sliced it a few times. The exquisite jade lotus in his hand was evenly divided into 9 pieces. Shuiyan, send these 2 pieces to mother and grandfather. As for the rest, each of you can have 1 piece. With a wave of his right hand, June Moxie's pieces of exquisite jade lotus flew out from his hand, slowly floating in front of everyone, as if there was something supporting them in the air. Mei Shuiyan did not hesitate, and with a sound of agreement, she received the 2 pieces and quickly walked out. Once this kind of thing was cut open, it had to be consumed as soon as possible. Otherwise, it wouldn't take long before it completely melted into the air. And for Mei Shuiyan, with her speed, she had to use her full strength, and in the process, she had to use her Saint Venerable Xianqi to wrap around the exquisite jade lotus to prevent it from evaporating. Filial piety was the foundation of human relationships. June Moxie's way of doing things made Xiao Ying and Xiao Miao feel that this evil monarch had a strong sense of humanity. Xiao Ying excitedly picked up the piece in front of her and sucked in a deep breath of air in satisfaction. Just this piece alone was already more than 10 times the size of the exquisite jade lotus in the Heaven Saint Palace. The effects of this lotus would definitely be extraordinary. As for Xiao Miao, she looked at the exquisite jade lotus floating in front of her with some bewilderment, her body trembling slightly. This was the first time they had met. How could she accept such a precious gift from the other party? This was a priceless treasure, not just in name, but also in reality. This was something that was as famous as the 7-colored holy fruit. Just thinking about the arrogance of the holy tree in the Misty Mansion, one could imagine how precious this exquisite jade lotus was. Chapter 1084. Aya, little sister Xiao Miao, why are you being so polite? We're all sisters. You're giving this fellow face by eating it. Hurry up and eat it. Hurry up and eat it. Dugu Xiao Yi hurriedly urged. This lass had already swallowed her piece in 1 gulp. It's not like it's something rare, it's just a small piece of lotus root. Why can't you take it? June Moxie looked at Xiao Miao, and said gently, Everyone's already eaten it. You should eat it quickly. Otherwise, if too much time passes, this exquisite lotus will melt in the air. That would be a real waste of a treasure. Xiao Miao's heart shook. When she looked at the exquisite lotus again, she saw that the outer edge of the lotus root had indeed started to show signs of melting. She couldn't help but feel conflicted in her heart. If I insist on not eating it, with his status, he'll definitely not take back his words. If this thing melts just like that, not only would it be a pity, I'll still owe him this favor. Thinking up to here, she couldn't help but sigh. This person is really overbearing, even giving me a gift that I can't refuse. Helpless, she could only accept the piece of lotus root and gently put it into her mouth. Instantly, she felt a cold stream of air enter her throat, and in an instant, her limbs and bones were filled with joy within her meridians. A copious amount of energy slowly flowed. Then, everyone felt that their meridians seemed to have unknowingly widened by a lot. Furthermore, the flexibility of their meridians seemed to have increased by a few times after the cold stream of air passed through them. Then, that powerful external energy entered their dantian and actually quieted down. But everyone understood that this energy wouldn't just disappear into thin air. Instead, it was silently protecting their bodies. Without the stimulation of the 7-colored holy fruit, this medicinal energy would continue to nourish their bodies. But with the stimulation of the seven-colored holy fruit, this energy would instantly turn into 1,000 years of pure energy. It was enough to allow their cultivation to take a huge leap forward. After a while, Mei Shuiyan returned. This time, everyone will only be consuming the exquisite lotus. However, I suggest that you don't use the seven-colored holy fruit to stimulate the medicinal energy in one go. Instead, let it circulate in your body on its own, slowly changing your physique and nourishing your body. It will take about a year or so for this energy to truly fuse with your body. At that time, consuming the exquisite lotus and seven-colored holy fruit again will not affect the medicinal energy this time. Let's turn this time's effect into something that will slowly benefit you for the rest of your life. June Moxie said solemnly. All the girls nodded. At this time, Miao Xiao Miao remembered Dugu Xiaoi's words. We're all sisters. If you eat it, you'll be giving this guy face. We're all sisters? Where did this come from? Could it be that June Moxie had designs on him? These were words that struck at the heart. Thinking of this, Miao Xiao Miao's heart trembled. She couldn't help but feel a strong sense of disgust in her heart. If he had thought of this earlier, he would have rather let that piece of exquisite lotus root rot than eat it. Manor Lord June's generous gift of spirit medicine is something that Xiao Miao is extremely grateful for. If there's a chance, I will definitely come with my husband to thank Manor Lord June. Xiao Miao bowed deeply and said to June Moxie. The true meaning of this sentence was naturally not just to thank him. It was to say, I already have a husband. If you have any other thoughts, it's best to dispel them as soon as possible. So little sister Miao already has someone in her heart? Already married? Mei Shuiyan looked at Xiao Miao, with a strange expression in her eyes. An extremely strange expression also appeared on Guan Qinghan's face, as if she wanted to laugh, but was holding it in. When Miao Xiao Miao heard this question, she thought of her own Mo Junyi and couldn't help but reveal a face full of happiness. That's right, my husband treats me very well. He's the person who cares and loves me the most in this world. Little sister Miao, that husband of yours, what does he look like? Dugu Xiao, he was especially curious about how June Moxie looked when he was in the Misty Mansion, so she came over to gossip. Miao Xiao Miao was very gloomy. This girl looked much younger than her. She was probably 2 or 3 years younger than her. She actually had the cheek to call her little sister. Only the heavens knew where this nickname of little sister came from. My husband's surname is Mo. Miao Xiao Miao smiled and closed her eyes slightly. It was as if her own Mo Junyi was right in front of her, smiling at her. His figure is similar to Manor Lord June's, but his appearance is far from Manor Lord June's. He can be said to be quite ordinary. His skin is a little dark, and he really can't be considered outstanding. Miao Xiao Miao smiled as she described slowly. Her face was filled with a strong sense of satisfaction. So this fellow's acting was very ugly at that time. Dugu Xiao, Yi, and the rest thought in their hearts. Acting so ugly, and he actually managed to woo a flower from the Misty Mansion. That's really amazing. Although that Mo Lang of mine is not handsome, he is a good person. His heart is even better. He treats me wholeheartedly. Miao Xiao Miao said happily. He's extremely talented. I don't know what he doesn't know in this world. He's very gentle and attentive. As she said that, Miao Xiao Miao felt that the atmosphere in the surroundings seemed a little strange. Opening her eyes, she saw that the evil monarch was rubbing his nose with his head lowered. His expression seemed a little ugly, and the faces of the women around him actually had a strong jealousy. It's useless even if you guys are jealous. Junyi belongs to me. Thinking about this, Miao Xiao Miao felt a sense of pride rise in her heart. My husband is extremely talented. He's written poems for me many times, composed lyrics for me, composed songs for me. Miao Xiao Miao's words were already a little boastful. What? Wrote poems for you? Composed lyrics for you? And composed songs for you? All the women asked in unison, clearly envious. The smell of jealousy in the room was getting stronger and stronger. That's right. Miao Xiao Miao's pride grew even stronger as she said contentedly, When my husband and I pledged our love, it was also when I was going through the venerable heavenly tribulation. At that time, I could no longer hold on. It was my husband who risked his life to accompany me. Then, he recited a poem and proposed to me. I still remember it until now. Sigh, I've said it so stupidly. How can I forget the words of our alliance in this lifetime? Words of alliance. Poem? What poem? All the women's eyes were burning with anger. Humph. This fellow also accompanied us through the heavenly tribulation previously. Why didn't he recite a poem then? Didn't he show his talent? Humph. Over 10 pairs of eyes instantly landed on Jun Moxie. Jun Da Xiao felt a chill run down his spine as he looked at Meow Xiao Meow. Great aunt, you're still going to say it? I'm going to drown them in vinegar. At that time, he asked me, the sky is the tent, the earth is the bed, the wind is the delicacy, the rain is the wine, the cloud is the wedding, the fog is the witness, the thunder is the betrothal gift, and the lightning is the matchmaker. In this life, are you willing to be my woman? Meow Xiao Meow naturally couldn't hear what Jun Moxie was saying in his heart. She used a dreamy tone and said softly, do you know, at that moment, my entire heart was intoxicated. If it were me, I'd be intoxicated too. All the women thought jealously. Thinking of that poem, all the women felt intoxicated just thinking about it. That was such a romantic scene. You're intoxicated, but our hearts are about to break now. Sob sob, this heartless woman. Jun Da Xiao's face turned greener and greener, and he was about to break down. Big sister Meow, don't be intoxicated. Please have mercy with your words. Do you want to dear Junya's life? But Meow Xiao Meow wouldn't shut up. She said it to dispel his thoughts, so why would she shut up? If this fellow dared to go and propose marriage with his status, it would really be the biggest problem. Who knows, the misty illusory manner might even agree. At that time, I was undergoing the heavenly tribulation. I really felt that I couldn't hold on anymore. The sky was filled with thunder and lightning. The ground was shaking, the rain was pouring, the wind was howling, and the clouds were everywhere. But in that kind of weather, in that kind of crisis, I didn't feel anything. I only felt happiness, sincere happiness. Meow Xiao Meow's mind had obviously returned to that day. At that time, I thought, even if I die now, it's worth it. A woman, in the moment of life and death, there's someone who loves her to go through life and death with her. Moreover, it's the person she loves the most, and at that time, she obtained her life's happiness and decided where she belongs in life. If it's us, we'll feel that it's worth it even if we die now. The women became even more jealous. They looked at Jun Moxie's eyes as if they wanted to swallow him alive. Jun Da Xiao coughed dryly, and a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. I'm dead. I'm really dead this time. Looking at the resentful gazes that filled the room, Jun Da Xiao's heart trembled. My dear Xiao Miao, you've really killed your husband this time. I didn't expect that the heavenly tribulation would be successful, and we're both still alive. So, from that time on, I swore that I would follow my husband through life and death, and never leave him. Meow Xiao Meow's voice sounded like a vow. Yeah, can I ask, your husband, what's his cultivation? Dugu Xiao Yi's eyes turned, and no one knew what she was thinking. Him? His current cultivation is not high, only a golden xian. Meow Xiao Meow said, and suddenly said proudly, but that's because he has never met a good teacher, and he started cultivating late. But my husband has the rare, free, and natural physique. Once he starts, he's unstoppable. The nine other first young master also had this kind of free and natural physique, and in the entire Xian continent, only 2 people with a free and natural physique have appeared in the past 10,000 years, and that's my husband and the 9 other first young master. Our Misty Mansion believes that Jun Yi will be the next 9 nether first young master, and the only person who has the chance to surpass the 9 nether first young master in these 10,000 years. Afraid that everyone didn't know the value of the free and natural physique, Meow Xiao Meow specially explained it. Chapter 1085. Looking at Jun Moxie, Meow Xiao Meow felt a little guilty and regretted saying those words. because she knew that no matter how hard Mo Junyi worked, this evil monarch Jun Moxie had already walked far ahead of him. A 19-year-old saint venerable, the lord of the evil monarch manor, the evil monarch. With such fame and Jun Moxie's age, he was destined to become a legend in the continent. Even if Mo Junyi had the legendary free and natural physique, he was still too late. If he wanted to reach Jun Moxie's level of cultivation, he would have to wait at least 100 years. At that time, the world would definitely be in a completely different state. But I will not let my Junyi compare with him. This Jun Moxie is a playboy through and through. He already has so many beauties, and he still has designs on me. Meow, Xiao Meow, thought angrily. Thinking of this, she suddenly felt that Mo Junyi was much better than Jun Moxie. Junyi is so devoted, no matter if it's to that elder sister or to me. I really envy you, Guanqing Han said softly. This sentence was from the bottom of her heart. Meow Xiao Meow smiled. Elder sister Guan is flattering me. Who doesn't know that Manor Lord Jun used his meager strength to go against the Shui Han Manor and the entire Tianxiang for you? He did not hesitate to kill with his sword, causing blood to flow like a river. He was condemned by thousands of people, but he did not even bat an eyelid. Elder sister Guan, as a woman, to have a man do this for you, you are the one who is worthy of my envy. Guanqing Han's expression softened. Thinking back to everything Jun Moxie had done for her back then, the more she thought about it, the more tender her heart became. The way she looked at Jun Moxie also became more and more affectionate. It was him who changed my bitter life. He gave me happiness. As a woman, what else do I have to be dissatisfied with the jealous gazes of all the girls focused on Guanqing Han? Younger sister Xiao Miao, your husband even composed a song for you? Can we enjoy for a while? Among us sisters, we are all proficient in music, and our attainments are not low. Mei Shuiyan's words were obviously to add trouble to Jun Moxie's troubles. How could they all be proficient in music? It seemed that only Raimu, Guanqing Han, and Han Yinmeng were proficient in music. As for the other girls, they did not have much interest in this field. Du Xiaoyi was naturally lively, and she grew up in a military family. If it was about wielding a spear or a stick, she was still rather good at it. And that last Ka'ir. If Jun Daxiao had transmigrated a few years earlier, this last would probably have been nurtured by Daxiao to become a talented woman. It was a pity that Jun Moxie transmigrated at the wrong time, and this last was delayed. Moreover, this last was wholeheartedly focused on helping Jun Moxie. Whenever she had time, she would practice martial arts. How would she have the time to learn music theory and knowledge? Shuiyan. Jun Moxie looked at Mei Shuiyan anxiously, obviously asking for help. What are you shouting for? In the past, us sisters thought that you were a passable person, but now we know what it means to compare oneself to others and to throw away goods. In order to treat everyone equally, later on, you will write a poem, a song, and then a song for all of us sisters. Look at her husband. He is so talented. If you can't do it, you know the consequences. Mei Shuiyan said fiercely. With a clatter, Jun Moxie sat down on a chair, his whole body paralyzed. This was going to cost him his life. That's right, brother Mo. Yeah, you must write it. If you can't, or if you don't write it well, Dugu Xiaoyi bared her fangs and brandished her claws as she threatened. Sisters, this matter can't be rushed. As the saying goes, a ruler has its shortcomings, and an inch has its strengths. Everyone has their own emphasis. Manor Lord Jun is not familiar with this field, so there's no point in forcing him. Literature and music are the same as Xian skills. It also requires talent. Meow Xiao Meow came out to save the situation, rejoicing in Jun Moxie's misfortune. Furthermore, it needs to be nurtured for a long period of time, and he needs to have a deep level of accomplishment, dabble in all aspects, and be proficient in it. Haha, sisters, please don't force him, lest Manor Lord Jun finds it difficult. That would not be good. Jun Moxie covered his eyes with his hands in pain, his whole body curled up in the chair. Heavens, you call this persuasion? Little sister Xiao Miao, you don't have to bother about this matter. If Mo Xie can't do it, we can't do anything to him. this Lord Evil Monarch. At most, we can just ignore him. Mei Shuiyan said lightly. Let's listen to the song that little sister, Xiao Miao's husband, composed for her first. We're not unreasonable people, so we'll just use this as a standard. Sisters, is this standard acceptable? That's great, I'll go get the qin. Duga Xiao, he stood up with a whoosh and ran out. Using my Junyez song as the standard? Looks like this evil monarch is really in trouble this time. Miao Xiao Miao looked at Jun Moxie sympathetically, but in her heart, she was rejoicing in his misfortune. Brat, don't think that your Xian skills are high and your status is high, but compared to my Junyi, humph. Who do you think you are? You actually dare to have designs on this old lady? See if I don't play you to death. Miao Xiao Miao decided in her heart that when the qin came, she would definitely bring out her best. Let this Jun Moxie suffer for a while. Dugu Xiao Yi's speed seemed to be very fast. Only the sound of her footsteps could be heard. She was already holding an antique zither in her arms. All the women looked at Jun Mo Xie, and the look in their eyes was self-evident. The sins of the heavens could be avoided, but the sins of one's own actions could not be avoided. Right now, Jun Daxiao was the one who had brought these sins upon himself. Jun Moxie let out a long sigh, his tone filled with hidden bitterness, like a resentful wife. Heavens ah, earth ah, why is my life so bitter? Miao Xiao Miao sat in front of the qin and plucked the strings casually, and the sound of gold and jade rang out. Good qin. Miao Xiao Miao's expression changed. This zither was even superior to the one she had in the misty, illusory manner. This qin's body is made from the heart of a 10,000-year-old dragon roar wood, and the strings are made from the tendons of a purple dragon from the bottom of the sea and the silk of a heavenly worm. These are the materials that Mo Xie collected, and I made it myself. Guan Qing Han said with a smile. Sister Guan is a great talent. Miao Xiao Miao looked at Guan Qing Han with respect. It was not a big deal to know how to play the qin. As long as one was a daughter of a noble family, it was rare for one to not know how to play the qin. But when it came to making a qin, it was extremely difficult. It was even more difficult to make a qin that was exquisite and had the best sound quality. This little sister here is showing my incompetence. Miao Xiao Miao took 2 deep breaths, and her slender fingers moved agilely, and the melodious sound of the qin suddenly rang out. The sound was lingering, and everyone felt as if they were looking at the falling flowers in front of them. Song of the Burial of Flowers. The lingering sound of the qin rang out leisurely. It was only the beginning, but Guan Qing Han and the other girls were already lost in this beautiful and sorrowful melody. The falling flowers filled the sky. Miao Xiao Miao sang along with the sound of the qin, and Mo Junye's voice and smile floated in her heart. She only felt that her heart was filled with sweetness. This song of the Burial of Flowers was actually sung by her into a little happiness. Naturally, since he was in such a happy mood, he only played the tune. Naturally, he didn't immerse himself in the original mood. But even so, it was enough. After a long while, the sound of the qin gradually faded, and it ended. The room was silent, because the lingering melody had not ended, and it continued without end. After a long time, Meishuin let out a long breath and said, This song, what is it called? Song of the Burial of Flowers. Miao Xiao Miao replied, This song, was it really written by your husband for you? Although Guan Qing Han, who was well-versed in music, was also full of praise for this song, she still had a doubt. Although this song can be said to be a classic, but for a man who deeply loves his wife to write it for his wife, it's a little strange, isn't it? Miao Xiao Miao's face turned red, and she was momentarily speechless. This song was used by Mo Junyi during the competition that day. How was it specially written for her? In order to attack this somewhat lecherous evil monarch, she did not hesitate to boast about it. Who would have thought that Guan Qing Han's attainments in the way of music would be so profound? She had clearly changed the mood of the song, but she was still able to hear the original intention of the song. This question had really caused her to fall into a trap. Just as Guan Qing Han had said, such a song would definitely not be given between lovers. All the girls looked at each other and smiled. How could they not know the reason behind it? Naturally, they would not pursue the matter further. But because of this small interlude, their hatred towards June Dashao had decreased a little. As long as it wasn't specially written for someone, it would be fine. Following that, everyone asked a few more questions and asked Miao Xiao Miao to recite the poem that June Moxie had written. Miao Xiao Miao's spirits were lifted. Naturally, she was very happy to show off her lover's talent in front of her new sisters. This gave her a great sense of satisfaction. One of the spring flowers and autumn moon gone. The moment this poem was spoken, all the girls were stunned. All their beautiful eyes turned to look at June Moxie. Who would have thought that this #1 silk pants of Tianxiang would actually have such a hidden skill? But the unforgivable thing was there were so many sisters in the house. But not only did he not make them happy, he even went out to flirt with girls and performed such an eye-catching performance. Could it be that the flowers in the house were not as fragrant as the wildflowers? Or was it because the ones in the house had already been decided and could not run away, so he did not care so much? This was really intolerable. June Dashao's hidden skill had thoroughly enraged everyone. The anger that had just subsided a little rose again. When the poem, "Those who obey the heavens may not exist, those who defy the heavens should laugh. Who is like me, pointing my sword at the waves of the world? The sun and moon enter my bosom. Watch me dominate the world." Once that poem was spoken, the resentment in the hearts of all the girls could no longer be contained. June Dashao could no longer sit still. The last of the 36 stratagems. At this, Miss Meow, let's talk. June Moxie rubbed his hands together. It's over. This time he had knocked over so many vinegar jars. I'm not interested in talking to you. Miao Xiao Miao snorted and turned her head away, obviously not wanting to talk to him. What do you want to talk to Sister Meow about? What's so important that you can't talk about it in front of us sisters? If you want to talk about it, that's fine. But first, you have to pay off your debts to us sisters. After that, we could talk about other things. Mei Shuiyan was now incorruptible. She glared at him and refused to let him go. Chapter 1086. Xiaoying watched from his side with a smile. Oh, this and that. June Moxie racked his brains to think. It seemed like he had to plagiarize again today. Shuiyan is right. Then I'll compose a poem for you first. June Moxie cleared his throat. All the girls looked at him expectantly. Naturally, there were many who rejoiced in his misfortune. For example, Miao Xiao Miao. Right now, she was laughing so hard in her heart. You're just a martial artist, and you dare to say you know how to write poems? At most, you'll write some nondescript limericks. I'll watch you make a fool of yourself today. You want to compare yourself to my Junyi with your pitiful appearance? And I got it. Shuiyan's grace and magnanimity gave me inspiration. June Moxie took 3 steps and snapped his fingers. Clothes on the clouds, face on the flowers, dew on the balustrade in the spring breeze. If we don't meet at the top of the Jade Mountain, we'll meet under the moon. All the girls were shocked. Miao Xiao Miao was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Could it be that this June Moxie was really a monster? It seemed like he only thought about it for a short period of time and came up with a poem in 3 steps. Furthermore, it was such a meaningful poem that suited Mei Shuiyan's identity and temperament. This poetic sentiment might not necessarily be inferior to my Junyi. Right? No, this should be a coincidence. It must be a coincidence. All right. Now it's Qing Han's turn. Mei Shuiyan first received praise from her lover, and then such a beautiful poem that could be passed down through the ages. Her heart was filled with satisfaction, and the corners of her eyes were filled with happiness. However, her mouth urged, Qing Han, and I got it. June Moxie pretended to frown as he turned around twice. Then he snapped his fingers again. I got it again. A famous flower that can topple a country and make 2 people happy together. So beautiful that the monarch looks on with a smile. Explaining the boundless hatred of the spring breeze. The north of the Agarwood Pavilion is dry. Everyone's eyes popped out. June Moxie actually had this trick up his sleeve. The lines of infinite hatred and leaning on the window to dry up in this poem were really in line with Guanqing Han's unique temperament, that kind of hazy sorrow. A genius. The eyes of all the girls were sparkling like stars. Dugu Xiaoyi was the only one among the girls who had seen Jun Moxie compose a poem. It was at the Golden Scholar Banquet. But when she recalled Jun Moxie's poem, even Dugu Xiaoyi felt ashamed. You want to talk about love with me? Don't talk to me about love. I'm too bad. Don't be infatuated with me. I'm just a legend. Don't provoke me. I'll make you vomit blood. You call that a poem? That was simply unbearable rubbish. It was just a pile of dog sh*t with a little personality. So Dugu Xiaoyi never expected that one day Jun Moxie could also compose a poem, even if it was a limerick. Now, everything in front of her made Dugu Xiaoyi's mouth open wider and wider. In the end, she couldn't help but rub her eyes hard. Is this really Jun Moxie? I'm not dreaming, am I? Meow Xiao Meow also rubbed her eyes. This was too shocking. If one insisted that composing a poem was by chance, it might be barely acceptable. But the second one came out, was it still by chance? Finally, under the expectation and pressure of all the girls, Jun Moxie composed a poem for each of the beauties present, finally suppressing this resentment. In the end, even Xiao Ying received a poem from Jun Moxie. There is a beauty in the north, peerless and independent. A glance can topple a city, another glance can topple a country. Rather than topple a city or topple a country, it is hard to find a beauty again. Everyone was happy. Everyone looked at Jun Moxie with admiration in their eyes. Too awesome. Too awesome. In less than a blink of an eye, a few poems came out, and each of them was a classic among classics. Even the top poets in the world didn't have such talent. He was really the greatest poet. If Jun Moxie knew what they were thinking, he would definitely be very depressed. So the greatest poet was forced to come out like this. Only Meow Xiao Meow was a little depressed in admiration. How could this guy be so good? He looked so effeminate and didn't have the slightest bit of manliness. Yet he was so talented in poetry. The heavens must be blind. If Jun Moxie knew what Meow Xiao Meow was thinking, he would probably vomit a mouthful of blood. I'm just a little handsome. How am I sissy? How am I not manly? Seeing that all the girls were looking at Jun Daxiao with admiration and happiness, Meow Xiao Meow couldn't help but roll her eyes. Is there need to worship him like this? He only knows how to write a few slanted poems. Unlike my Junyi, who can even play music, as she thought about it. Her jade-like hands lightly plucked the zither a few times, a trace of longing in her eyes. Junyi, where are you? Do you know how much I miss you right now? If you came over now, how good would it be to put a stop to this evil monarch's arrogance? And let them know that my Junyi is the best. This plucking of a zither made all the girls come back to their senses. He managed to fool them with the poems, but what about the songs? What about the songs for each of them? This guy actually wrote a song for Meow Xiao Meow alone. No, this is simply intolerable. One had to say, once a woman's jealousy was triggered, it was very scary. Although all the girls already knew that the song was not specially written by Jun Moxie for Meow Xiao Meow. But as long as a woman set her mind on something, if she said it was, then it was. So, a moment ago, Jun Moxie was still basking in the adoring gazes, but in the next moment, he was instantly thrown into a wave of condemnation. Compose. And it was the same old rule, one song for each of them. This request almost made Jun Daxiao vomit 3 liters of blood. And all of you must be tired after listening to so many poems. I'll go see what Fatty Tang is doing. Don't let this fellow bring disaster to our evil monarch manor. Jun Moxie randomly found an excuse to slip away, but he was blocked by Mei Shuiyan at the door. Following that, Dugu Xiaoyi and the rest swarmed over, blocking the door tightly. Want to leave? Wishful thinking, no way. Looking at the group of female kings blocking the door, Jun Daxiao could only smile bitterly and cry out in his heart. Help! Beauties, please do me a favor. Let me tell you, composing a song is not as easy as eating cabbages. No matter what, you must first have inspiration, and then a period of time to brew, and then slowly ponder over it, changing the draft a few times before you can form a prototype. You don't know how difficult it is to compose a song, ah. June Moxie said with a bitter face. June Dashao put on a pitiful act, hoping to gain the forgiveness of the girls. But he didn't expect things to turn out contrary to his wishes. Not only did his pitiful act not gain any sympathy, it instead added fuel to the fire. The girls' aura seemed to rise again, and all of their faces flushed red. June Moxie was a little confused and puzzled. So Big Brother Mo Xie thinks that I don't know what a song is, so you never talk to me about it. No wonder you don't even have the interest to compose a song in front of me, Dugu Xiaoi said with a pout. The little girl's eyes were full of tears, and she looked like she was going to cry at any moment. June Dashao was a little dumbfounded. What did I say? What did I say? I didn't say anything. What else is there to say? We don't understand the difficulty of composing a song. We only know how to eat cabbages. I really envy Sister Meow. She has a considerate husband, and the two of them are like-minded. That's what you call a perfect match, a match made in heaven. You don't need to say anything. We all understand. Mei Shuiyin said in a strange tone. It looked like Mei Shuiyin was determined to make things difficult for him today. Jun Dashao didn't just look a little dumbfounded. He was on the verge of breaking down. His eyes stared blankly. What's with that? I didn't mean it that way. Isn't this accusing me to death? Miao Xiao Miao hurriedly tried to mediate. Big sisters, Manor Lord June is speaking the truth. Composing a song requires inspiration the most. If there's no inspiration, then even the most powerful of geniuses can't do it. So he doesn't have any inspiration when he's with us. Why does Sister Meow's husband only have so much inspiration? It looks like the two of them have a good relationship. Han Yiming curled her lips and said sourly. June Moxie was completely defeated, and he was completely depressed. He reluctantly begged for mercy. This thing is really not something that can be obtained in a hurry. Even if I'm a deity, I can't do it. Big sisters, please spare me. It wasn't that difficult for Jun Dashao to have a song for everyone. He had a lot of classic songs in his memory, but he couldn't indulge the temper of this group of women. Otherwise, they would ask for a song for no reason in the future. No matter how much he remembered, it would be of no use, and sooner or later he would run out of money. Besides, it wasn't that rare to take out too many songs at once. The women saw that Jun Dashao was flustered and exasperated. They weren't pretending, but their eyes were focused on Guanxing Han. When it came to poetry, Guanxing Han could be said to be a great expert in this field, and her attainments were even better than June Moxie, the plagiarism expert. At this time, everyone was willing to listen to her opinion. Guanxing Han didn't join forces to attack Jun Dashao like the other women just now. There was no other reason, but because of Miao Xiao Miao's accidental words just now, she fell into contemplation, recalling Jun Moxie's feelings for her, his kindness to her, and his love for her. All the women fixed their eyes on Guanxing Han, and she instantly came to her senses. She said softly, "Sisters, what Mo Xie said is right. Whether it's writing lyrics, music, poetry, or painting, as long as it's a good work, there must be an opportunity. Although Mo Xie's talent is extraordinary, he has written so many poems for us just now, and his talent is exhausted. It's really difficult to force him to compose a song. Even if he is forced to do it, it's bound to be an inferior work, so it's better not to do it. Sisters, please consider it." Chapter 1087. Miao Xiao Miao, who was standing at the side, had a look of schadenfreude on her face, waiting to watch a good show. The more outstanding June Moxie's performance was, the angrier she got. She had to see this brat make a fool of himself. Miao Xiao Miao was June Moxie's woman. Miao Xiao Miao herself didn't know, but Jun Dashao himself was very aware of it. The way he looked at Miao Xiao Miao was naturally different from how he looked at other people. But it was also because of this wretched look in his eyes that brought him such a calamity. If Jun Dashao knew that the root of his bad luck today was actually this, he would probably regret it so much that his intestines would turn green. Apart from his intestines turning green, his face would also turn green. She's obviously my wife, and we've already done that. Why can't I look at her? Is there any justice in this? Is there any reason? All right. Then I'll show off my skills and compose a song for all of you. I'll let all of you see my prowess. It seems that if I don't shock all of you, you won't know how amazing and unparalleled your husband is. How about that? Seeing that it was really difficult to offend everyone now, composing a song was the best result so far. June Moxie had no choice but to compromise, but he stated his conditions in advance. But I'll make it clear that there's only one song. If you want more, it'll take a long time and a burst of inspiration. All right. All the women agreed at the same time and didn't make things difficult for him anymore. In fact, all the women understood that even if they didn't understand music, it would take a long time for a song to take shape. They were so unrelenting just now because they couldn't get rid of their jealousy. It was already a pleasant surprise that he was forced to compose a song on the spot today. Even if this song wasn't good, he would still pass. How could he really compose a new song if it wasn't good enough? Meow Xiao Meow saw that he actually wanted to compose a song on the spot and was greatly surprised. Jun Ye's song took a long time to compose. So, if June Moxie could compose a song on the spot, even if it was slightly inferior, it would still be extremely rare. But does this guy really have this ability? I have my suspicions. If he was really doing it half-heartedly, I would definitely point it out to him and persuade his wives. If he didn't do it well, he would redo it until everyone was satisfied. Someone like him wants to be compared to my Junyi. It's fine if it's just a song, but before that, I want to tell you a short story. That's because this song is based on this story. June Moxie naturally had to lay the groundwork. Once upon a time, there was a young scholar named Liang Shanbo. In order to obtain scholarly honors, he entered an academy to study. This time, he suddenly thought of Liang Zhu. After all, the Song of the Burial of Flowers was beautiful and desolate. Whether it was the lyrics or the mood, they were all rare. If one wanted to find a song that was on par with the Song of the Burial of Flowers, or even slightly better, then it would probably be the Butterfly Lovers. Of course, it wasn't that there weren't better or more classic songs in his previous life. But in June Moxie's memory, he couldn't remember that many. As the saying goes, everyone has their own specialties. Cough, cough. The most important thing was that June Moxie couldn't remember that many. In despair, Liang Shanbo fell sick from depression and vomited blood and died. In the end, when Zhu Tai walked to Liang Shanbo's grave, there was an earth-shattering sound. The grave suddenly split open and wrapped Zhu Tai inside. Then, a seven-colored smoke rose from inside. After the smoke dissipated, two butterflies flew out, free and in pairs. And in the grave, the two corpses were gone. It turned out that the love of this pair of lovers had moved the heavens, causing them to turn into butterflies and stay together for the rest of their lives, accompanying each other to the ends of the earth. After June Moxie finished speaking, the surroundings were filled with choking sounds. He turned around and saw that all the women's eyes were red. Even the calm Xiao Ying and the calm Mei Shuyan couldn't help but cry. This song is based on this story. It's called Butterfly Transformation. June Moxie slowly sat in front of the zither. He stretched out his hand and plucked the strings. The melodious sound of the zither rang out. Originally, this song was most lifelike when played on the violin. But the music theory was the same, so it wasn't impossible to play it on the zither. However, the sound quality of the violin naturally had a kind of natural poignant rhythm. If played on the zither, it would be a little too clear and melodious. The green grass is green and the blue flowers are in full bloom. The colorful butterflies are lingering for a long time. The deep love that has been passed down through the ages. Liang Shanbo will forever love Zhu Tai. Along with the sound of the zither, June Moxie sang in a low voice. We studied together for 3 whole years, sitting side by side without any misgivings. We sent each other off for 18 years, but who knew that we would part on the balcony? As he sang, the women seemed to see a scene in front of them. A man and a woman met in the academy. The woman was dressed as a man, but the man didn't know. They didn't know each other's identities until they were about to part. They sent each other off reluctantly, said their farewells, promised each other to be forever in love, and made a pact of 3 lives. Then they parted reluctantly, but who knew that it was a dream that couldn't be fulfilled after parting. Liang Shanbo went to the Zhu family to ask for her hand in marriage. When he returned home, he was filled with grief and indignation. When he heard that the Zhu family and the Ma family had made a marriage agreement, he fell sick and died. When Ying Tai heard that Liang Shanbo died for her, she was heartbroken and swore to never marry again. However, fate made fools of her. The Ma family came to welcome her, but for the sake of her family, Ying Tai had no choice but to get on the sedan chair. When they arrived at Liang Shanbo's grave, Ying Tai insisted on getting off the sedan chair to pay her respects. Under the influence of Ying Tai's grief, wind, rain, thunder, and lightning broke the grave. Ying Tai jumped into the grave, and the grave closed. The wind and rain stopped, and a rainbow hung high in the sky. Liang Shanbo turned into butterflies and fluttered in the world. Jun Moxie had obviously overlooked the power of this song. In Jun Mo. Xie's later life, this song, transforming into a butterfly, was passed down by everyone, praising the Liang couple's unwavering love. Everyone sympathized with them, but they couldn't truly understand the helplessness they felt. But now, it was different. Guanqing Han, Han Yinming, Miao, Xiao Miao, Dugu Xiaoi. Which one of these girls wasn't a descendant of a big family? Which one of them didn't know the helplessness of a girl in a big family? In this world, more than 90% of the girls in the big families had to sacrifice themselves for the family's benefit and become a tool for marriage alliances. Both families were cheering for the benefit of the two families. But who cared about the life of the girl who married them? How was her mood? She was the daughter of the family, and the family provided her with food and clothing, so she naturally had to work hard for the family. Even if she wasn't happy after marriage, it would just be a long sigh. But this sigh would destroy the happiness and longing of a girl's life, the times, the interests, and this was the most tragic thing in this kind of era. Some people criticized women for always succumbing to this kind of pressure, but they never thought about why women succumb to this kind of pressure. Because there were parents in the family who raised them. How could they forget the grace of raising them? Not to mention the ancient times, even in modern China, there were such families and such women. Love and family. Which was more important? This was a question that would never have an answer. Guanqing Han could be said to have experienced it firsthand. Even a girl like Miao, Xiao Miao, wouldn't have been able to escape this kind of fate if she didn't have the elixir garden, the protection of the title of a genius, and the lucky encounter with Mo Junyi in the end. There was also Han Yinming. This little girl had become the sacrificial lamb of this political marriage. However, she was more fortunate. The person she was going to marry was the person she had always liked. It was just that it was rare to find someone as lucky as her. Even the carefree Dugu Xiaoi wouldn't have been able to decide her future marriage if she hadn't met Jun Moxie, and if she hadn't fallen in love with him. But even so, Dugu Xiaoi still used all her methods, used all her magic treasures, and made countless efforts to resist, and finally obtained the approval of her family for the marriage between her and Jun Moxie. In this matter, everyone could see that Dugu Xiaoi was willful, even mischievous and unruly. But who would have thought that if Dugu Xiaoi wasn't so willful, and if she didn't recklessly cause trouble, then what would the ending of these two people be? Considering the Dugu family's previous impression and attitude toward Jun Moxie, and considering the political environment of Tianxiang at that time, it was absolutely impossible to allow the Jun family and the Dugu family to unite through marriage. Thinking about Jun Moxie's temperament, would he have taken the initiative to fight for it? If it wasn't for Dugu Xiaoi putting down all the reservations of a girl and not putting in so much effort, it could be imagined that what awaited Dugu Xiaoi would only be a tragedy. So this song, Butterfly Transformation, had touched the most painful heart of all the women of this era. And in fact, the legend of the butterfly lovers was also the ancient people's resistance and longing for this kind of helpless marriage. Or perhaps it was an extravagant hope. Even if they couldn't be husband and wife in life, they would turn into butterflies and dance together in death. Rather than saying this was a beautiful persistence, it was better to say that it was a hopeless dream. It was just that all the people who were in love but couldn't be together hoped that this dream could become a reality. Wishing all the lovers in the world to be together was the most beautiful legend since ancient times. The greatest wish. But how many pairs of lovers could be together since ancient times? As Guan Qinghan listened, she suddenly thought of Murong Xiuxiu and Yigahan. Her eyes reddened, and tears streamed down her cheeks. Weren't these two people just like the butterfly lovers? In fact, they might not even be as good as the butterfly lovers. If it wasn't for June Moxie, they wouldn't even be able to fulfill their wish of being buried together. That I'd rather betray the heavens than betray my lover love legend. Unfortunately, to fulfill that dream, there was still a prerequisite if it wasn't finished in the next life, because they all knew that this life was destined to be hopeless. So they could only pin their hopes on the next life. But how uncertain was that? Even Miao, Xiao Miao, was deeply immersed in it. She was also very accomplished in music, and she had walked through that fork in the road, so she naturally had a deeper understanding of it. The song ended. For a long time, no one spoke, except for a burst of suppressed sobbing. Chapter 1088. The old man was an outstanding assassin, but the methods and channels he used to train the orphans, including himself, was he really training assassins? Maybe, maybe not, but this question, June Moxie would never have a chance to know the answer. But he always believed that those who had received the old man's training, even if one day they got tired of being an assassin, no matter what profession they chose, they would still be able to live a good life. The old man's unimaginably strict, sadistic supervision made him and the others learn too many things. Moreover, every knowledge was accompanied by countless unforgettable pain. Even if they wanted to forget, they couldn't. It had long been branded into their souls. When they really walked out, they would find that there were so many things they could do and could do well. And in fact, before Junxia, there had been fellow apprentices who had suggested to the old man that they didn't want to be an assassin anymore. They wanted to settle down and live a normal life. June Moxie had never found out how the old man dealt with these people, and the old man had never mentioned it. But at that time, the old man's expression was always very strange, but after a period of time, under June Xie's deliberate investigation, the information that originally belonged to those people, the files, the information of the previous missions, everything that belonged to the assassins had all disappeared. What did this mean? What did it mean? Was it to be completely erased or completely destroyed? But one thing was for sure, as long as these things were gone, no one in the world would be able to dig out the past evidence of those people's crimes. At least they wouldn't have to live in fear for the rest of their lives. Thinking of this, June Moxie let out a long sigh. He thought to himself, "Old man, what kind of person are you?" Then June Moxie opened his eyes, only to find that the eyes of the 7 women in the room were tightly locked on him. It seemed that even Miao, Xiao Miao, and Xiao Ying were the same. In their beautiful eyes, there was surprise, disbelief, and deep admiration. Brother Emo Xia. Dugu Xiaoyi's voice was still a little choked. "This song is so beautiful. I'm crying listening to it. That's right, All the girls began to discuss heatedly. Only Guan Qinghan and Miao, Xiao Miao, took out a piece of paper and hurriedly jotted something down. Clearly, they were trying to record down this butterfly transformation. If such a classic and worthy song were to be lost, it would truly be a pity. This Liang Shanbo is really pitiful. It's a pity that he doesn't know any mysterious techniques. Otherwise, a country gentleman like Zhu Yingtai would have sent his daughter to him to curry favor. He's really stupid. After being together for 3 years, he still didn't realize that Zhu Yingtai was a woman. The worst one is that Ma Wenkai. Brother Emo Xia, since you knew about this, why didn't you kill that Ma Wenkai? What's the point of keeping scum like him? That's right. This kind of person doesn't deserve to die. At the end of the day, Liang Shanbo and Zhu Yingtai are the most pitiful. Fortunately, they ended up together in the end. I hope the heavens have mercy on them and allow them to be husband and wife in their next life and the next." Even Mei Shuyan was a little moved. She sighed deeply and said, "Emo Xia, where did you hear this story? It's really touching. Yeah, I heard this story by accident. Not many people know about this story. It should have happened in a very remote place. That's why it hasn't been spread outside. Jun Moxie stammered as he replied. Guan Qinghan also said, that's right. Don't look at how sad we are. If this story were to fall into the ears of the elders of the clans, they would definitely criticize Liang Shanbo and Zhu Tai. In their eyes, the real traitors are Liang Shanbo and Zhu Tai. If this story can be spread, that would be a rare thing. Jun Moxie was stunned. He didn't expect Guan Qinghan to have such knowledge. However, what she said was the truth. Manor Lord Jun is really amazing. Miao Xiao Miao looked at Jun Moxie in admiration and praised, your talent can be considered equal to my husband's. Even if it's slightly inferior, it has far surpassed the others. Jun Mo said didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This girl thought too highly of Mo Junyi. He'd even created butterfly lovers, but it was only a tie. Not only that, it was even slightly worse. This was too depressing, too embarrassing. This girl was still stubborn even at this time. Dugu Xiao curled her lips in a secretive manner. The other women also looked very satisfied. Dugu Xiao and the others had obviously regarded this butterfly transformation as a victory for their sisters. The result was obvious. This song was naturally more moving than the song of the burial of flowers. The only fly in the ointment was that the lyrics were slightly inferior, but it wasn't by much. Dugu Xiao was obviously satisfied. Sister Qinghan, have you memorized it? In the future, we will be counting on you to play it. Dugu Xiao called out. Why is there such an unnecessary move? Why not just let Manor Lord Jun play and sing? Miao Xiao Miao buried a bomb for Jun Moxie. Him? Che. Dugu Xiao said gloomily, this guy is too lazy. Apart from flirting with girls that he hasn't gotten yet or showing his hand when he's cornered, it's harder to make him move than to ascend to the heavens. I don't dare to have such extravagant hopes anymore. Little sister Xiao Miao, let me tell you, all men are the same. Don't be fooled by how that husband of yours composed poems and songs for you back then. Heh, now that you've already fallen for him, I'm sure he won't compose for you anymore. Only those who haven't gotten their hands on you are worth treasuring. Dugu Xiao said with a hint of mischief in her voice. That's impossible. Junyi is definitely not that kind of person. Miao Xiao Miao smiled lightly and replied confidently. Do you think we're all like this evil monarch who's fickle in love? My Junyi is deeply in love, single-minded, and loyal, huh? Hearing that, Dugu Xiao cooed, and the rest burst into laughter. Even Mei Shuiyan and Guan Qinghan couldn't help but smile. All right. Seeing that Guan Qinghan's side had finished recording, Mei Shuiyan said, we'll go take a look around. You guys sit here for a while. Emosia, don't you have something to say to Miss Miao? We won't disturb the two of you anymore. After saying that, the girl stood up and giggled. Mei Shuiyan didn't forget to ask Xiaoying to leave as well. In an instant, only Jun Moxie and Miao Xiao Miao were left in the room. When the girls left, their expressions were very strange, as if they were waiting to see a joke. The way they looked at Miao Xiao Miao was even more ambiguous. This kind of gaze caused Miao Xiao Miao to truly panic. As the saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. Although this Jun Moxie looked good, she still didn't know what he was like. If this person was really like what Mo Wudao had described, what should she do? Just as Miao Xiao Miao was in a daze, the room was completely empty. Miao Xiao Miao was even more flustered. Manor Lord Jun, you, what do you want to say to me? Can't you say it in front of all these sisters? Miao Xiao Miao's face was filled with unconcealable panic. It was obvious that this lass was already prepared to run away. As long as Jun Moxie made the slightest move, this lass would probably jump out like a rabbit. At the very least, a cry of help was already at the tip of her tongue. This couldn't be blamed on Miao Xiao Miao for being timid. It was just that a certain someone's image was a little too. I'm just having a casual chat with you. Haha, no need to be so nervous. Jun Moxie was also thinking, how should I bring it up? I already have a husband. He loves me very much. I love him too. I won't like anyone else. My husband has the legendary free and natural physique. He's very powerful. You don't mess around. The moment she heard casual chat, Meow Xiao Meow became even more afraid. You want to have a casual chat with me the first time we meet? What can I casually chat with you about? Cough, cough. I know that you have a husband. June Moxie thought. Your husband is right in front of you, but you still haven't recognized him. I say, Xiao Meow you. June Moxie spread out his hands helplessly. Shut up. Meow Xiao Meow had already exploded. With a cold face, she hollered. Manor Lord June, I respect that you're a hero, but please don't go overboard. The evil monarch manor may be powerful, but my misty mansion is not one to be trifled with. Manor Lord June should pay attention to the way you address me. The title Xiao Meow is not something that just anyone can call me. Her voice was stern, and her face was cold. She didn't even spare a glance at this world-famous evil monarch and directly scolded him. Actually, what's so good about that Mo Junyi? Not only is he ugly, he's only a golden Xian. Is there a need to treat him like a treasure? Even if he has that legendary free and natural physique, it'll take at least 100 years for him to reach my level. Look at how good I am. Aren't I stronger than him? If you don't believe me, you can compare for yourself. June Moxie chuckled and said shamelessly, Manor Lord June, are you really trying to incite a war between our two families? Meow Xiao Meow looked at him, lingling. What has it got to do with you whether Mo Junyi is good or not? How can my husband be slandered by you like this? I only feel that Manor Lord June is thinking too highly of himself. In my eyes, you can't be compared to my Junyi in any way. June Moxie was speechless. This was too awkward, and there was no way for him to continue speaking. Suddenly, he rolled his eyes, and an idea came to his mind. Looking at Meow Xiao Meow, he said softly, You're so dirty after going through the heavenly tribulation. There's a small pool over there. Shall we take turns to scrub your back? These were the exact words that Mo Junyi had said to Meow Xiao Meow after they had gone through the heavenly tribulation. You lecher. You? Meow Xiao Meow had just cursed out when she instantly felt that something was wrong. She widened her eyes and looked at June Moxie. She would never forget the words, take turns to scrub your back, because right after she said those words, her virginity was snatched away by someone. In heaven as the chessboard, stars as the chess pieces, who dares to play? The earth as the pipa, the road as the strings, who dares to play? June Moxie looked at Meow Xiao Meow and smiled gently. Thunder as the battle drum, lightning as the flag, who dares to fight? Meow Xiao Meow's body swayed violently, and she almost fell to the ground. A few incoherent moans came out from her throat, and her eyes became dazed. Chapter 1089. Perhaps the people in the Misty Mansion would spread this couplet, but thunder as the war drum, lightning as the flag, who dares to fight? When she and Mo Junyi were undergoing the heavenly tribulation, Mo Junyi's words were only known to the two of them. But June Moxie actually said it out loud. How'd he know? Could it be that he... Silly lass, you still can't recognize me? June Moxie smiled helplessly. Am I so hard to recognize? As he said that, he turned to face Meow Xiao Meow and rubbed his face a few times. Slowly, his handsome features disappeared, and a simple face appeared in front of Meow Xiao Meow. Mo Junyi. Meow Xiao Meow's eyes widened as she retreated step by step. Her eyes were filled with panic. You're Junyi? June Moxie smiled bitterly and nodded his head. Xiao Meow, it's me. Meow Xiao Meow's body trembled a few times, and she suddenly fell to the ground without a sound. She actually fainted. June Moxie's eyes and hands were sharp, and he hurriedly rushed forward and carried her in his arms. After a while, Meow Xiao Meow woke up slowly, but her usually clear eyes were filled with confusion, as though she was in a dream. Suddenly, she saw June Moxie's face above her, and she suddenly choked with sobs. Junyi, did you know? I had a nightmare just now. I dreamt that the evil monarch had lustful thoughts towards me, and he even said things that only you and I know. But that's not all. He actually changed into your appearance. I'm so scared. I'm really scared. June Moxie sighed lightly and said gently, "Silly lass, you're not dreaming. It's all real." Really? Is it true? Is it true? Meow, Xiao Meow looked at the lover in front of her in a daze. Suddenly, she struggled out of his embrace and looked around at her surroundings. Her face was filled with an indescribable sense of melancholy. She abruptly turned her head and looked at June Moxie, who was still maintaining Mo Jun Ye's appearance. Her eyes were fixed on his face. He gritted his teeth and said, "Jun Yi, tell me this isn't real. Tell me." June Moxie painfully closed his eyes and said woodenly, "Xiao Miao, this is the truth. This is the truth. I've always been June Moxie. Mo Junyi is just an avatar of mine, a non-existent person." "No, that's not it. This can't be true. This can't be. You lied to me. You lied to me just to get me. I won't believe you. I won't believe you." Meow Xiao Meow screamed shrilly as she stared fixedly at June Moxie. But her feet were still retreating step by step, shaking her head agitatedly. Even so, her beautiful eyes betrayed her emotions, and tears were already welling up in them. Even though the truth was cruel, it was still the truth. Suddenly, Meow Xiao Meow's feet accidentally touched the chair behind her, and she fell to the ground with a plop. Based on Meow Xiao Meow's cultivation of a martial venerable, not to mention a chair behind her, even if it was a bottomless cliff or a fatal trap, it might not be able to make her fall like this. However, she had fallen so pathetically. It was obvious that she had completely lost control of her mind. "Xiao Meow." June Moxie's eyes were filled with pity, and he reached out to pull her up. "Don't touch me. You bad person, you're not allowed to touch me." Meow Xiao Meow yelled with all her might, stubbornly crawling up from the ground. But her tears were like pearls from a broken necklace, and her body was trembling uncontrollably. "You are Mo Junyi? Mo Junyi is June Moxie? June Moxie is my Mo Junyi?" Meow Xiao Meow smiled bitterly and looked at June Moxie, blood seeping out from the corner of her mouth. That smear of red completely shocked June Moxie. "Yes, Xiao Meow, I didn't mean to lie to you. I really am Mo Junyi in this. June Moxie hurriedly explained. Regarding the situation, he was already mentally prepared, but he still didn't expect that Meow Xiao Meow's reaction would be so huge and so intense. "Shut up!" Meow Xiao Meow shouted angrily. "You still don't want to lie to me?" "Ha ha!" She laughed bitterly. "You don't want to lie to me? How do you plan to lie to me? You've already lied to me about everything. You've lied to me. I have nothing left." Meow Xiao Meow's body trembled violently, and she suddenly shouted with all her strength, "You've lied to me about everything. Don't you know? Don't you know? What else do you want to lie to me? I have nothing left. But this is also good. I have nothing left, so I'm not afraid of you lying to me anymore." June Moxie looked at her in a daze, his heart suddenly aching, but he couldn't say anything. June Moxie, do you know how blissful I was before this?" Meow Xiao Meow's tears slowly flowed down her fair cheeks, flowed past the corner of her mouth, and slowly dripped onto the ground. Not long later, the ground was already covered in a puddle of water. But she didn't even wipe it away and just let the tears flow freely. Blood dripped down from the corner of her mouth, slowly dyeing the puddle of tears red. "My Junyi. He doesn't have unparalleled martial arts and looks very ordinary, but he is the only man that I, Meow Xiao Meow, acknowledge." Meow Xiao Meow said sorrowfully. "He is the person I love the most. Did you know? Did you know? I even naively thought that he was the person who loved me the most. But it turns out that I was wrong. This was all a scam, a complete scam. Do you know how proud I am of him? How satisfied I am? Being able to have Junyi is my lifetime's happiness." Meow Xiao Meow said softly, a desolate sweetness on her face. "Junyi told me that he already has a wife, but I don't care. I can be his concubine. As long as I can be with Junyi, I don't care about anything else." Junyi is gentle. He has a wealth of knowledge. The moment he appeared in the Misty Mansion, he used the weakest cultivation in the entire Misty Mansion to stir up the biggest storm in the Misty Mansion. I am proud of him. I am Mo Junior's wife. I am his woman. No matter how lowly his status is, no matter how down and out he is, I am willing, even more willing. The sky as the tent, the earth as the bed, the wind as the delicacies, the rain as the wine, the clouds as the wedding dress, the fog as the curtains, the thunder as the betrothal gift, and the lightning as the matchmaker. I, Meow Xiao Meow, have decided to marry Mo Junyi. Meow Xiao Meow smiled miserably. I offer my body, my heart, my soul, my everything to the person I love the most. If there is no Mo Junyi, Meow Xiao Meow is just an empty shell. Meow Xiao Meow's expression suddenly turned solemn, her voice hollow. But now you are telling me that there is no such person as Mo Junyi in this world. Everything is fictitious. Everything has never existed. The free and natural physique is fake. Mo Junyi is fake. Meow Xiao Meow said sorrowfully. Jun Moxie, how can you be so cruel? You destroyed my dream. You destroyed my everything. You are so cruel. Why must you do this to me? Since you have already lied to me, why don't you continue lying? I would rather never know that even if Junyi does not return, he will still be in my heart, eternally inextinguishable. Why must you be so cruel? You must expose this lie and destroy my hopes. You are so cruel. You are really so cruel. Meow Xiao Meow said softly, her voice gradually becoming weaker. Xiao Meow, the Mo Junyi in the Misty Mansion, other than his identity being an illusion, his knowledge, his mind, everything about him is also real. That is the other real me. Jun Moxie said softly, now that I am here, isn't it good for me to return the most real me to you? Not good. The one I love is only Mo Junyi. From the start, there has only been Mo Junyi, not Jun Moxie. Meow Xiao Meow looked at him with tears all over her face. It's you who killed my Junyi. It's you. You made my Junyi disappear forever. The sorrowful expression on Meow Xiao Meow's face suddenly turned venomous. Jun Moxie, evil monarch, isn't it very satisfying to toy with a woman like this? Seeing a woman give up her feelings, love, chastity, loyalty, everything for a mere illusion, and then you personally crush it. Crush everything. With a flip of your hand, you summon clouds and rain, causing a woman in your grasp to be consigned to eternal damnation. Isn't that feeling of having everything in your grasp very satisfying? Isn't it? She pressed forward step by step, her eyes filled with tears, but she did not blink at all, her expression extremely mournful. Enough. Jun Moxie roared in a low voice, then continued in a distressed tone. Xiao Meow, don't misunderstand my words. Can you calm down and listen to my explanation? Explanation? All right, I'm waiting for your explanation. Who would be able to reject the evil monarch's words? Meow Xiao Meow glared at him fiercely. Since you want to explain, I'll listen to your explanation. But before that, please don't taint my Junyi anymore. Don't let the face of the person I love hang on a liar like you. Change it for me. Change it. Jun Moxie sighed and removed Mo Junyi's disguise, reverting back to his original appearance. Meow Xiao Meow stared at him, staring fixedly at him, staring fixedly at Mo Junyi's face as it faded bit by bit. She stared so intently, so stubbornly, so passionately, so reluctantly. But it was also so despairing. It was the despair of watching her lover leave with her own eyes, of watching her lover leave her forever. But there was nothing she could do. The despair of the heavens and earth. In her eyes, as the face of Mo Junyi slowly disappeared from Jun Moxie's face, her eyes also lost their luster, slowly becoming empty. Chapter 1090. Today is the third night. The fourth night will be slightly later. Xiao Meow, I'm here. Jun Moxie's body trembled as he grabbed her hand. Don't touch me. You're not worthy of this name, you liar. Meow Xiao Meow's eyes cleared up, and she flung his hand away fiercely. She forcefully pulled her hand back and rubbed it on her clothes. Then, she lowered her head and remained motionless. The trembling of her body gradually stopped. She waited until her trembling had completely stopped. Then, she took 2 deep breaths. Her breathing was so forceful that June Moxie could clearly feel that her breath seemed to have caused her petite body to swell up for a moment before it disappeared. Then Meow Xiao Meow raised her head and looked at June Moxie. She smiled and said, "Manor Lord June, didn't you want to explain? I'm listening to your explanation. I'm waiting for your explanation." Her voice suddenly became very calm, but this calmness was like a deathly stillness. June Moxie felt a pain in his heart. Meow Xiao Meow's face was deathly pale. Although she was smiling, her eyes were filled with the color of death. Judging from the current situation, no matter what kind of explanation he had, she would not listen to it. June Moxie sighed in his heart. He felt a throbbing pain in his heart. "Xiao Meow, the situation that day was like this. Ever since I started cultivating in Xianxi, my speed of advancement has exceeded the imagination of the world. In just a few years, I've already reached the height of the Holy Emperor." Although June Moxie knew that it was useless to explain, he had no choice but to do so now. Having lived 2 lives, he had never felt as guilty as he did now, and he had never felt as difficult as he did right now. With success in Xianxi, one's lifespan will naturally be longer. Xiao Yi and Qing Han have always been following me. It can be said that they have deep feelings for each other. But the problem in front of us is... June Moxie sighed deeply. "I may be able to maintain my appearance for hundreds or thousands of years. So can Shui Yan. But others are destined not to be able to do so, because their cultivation has not reached that height. In other words, no one has the ability to do so. Xianxi can only slow down aging, but it cannot maintain one's appearance forever. Even if they cultivate to the Holy Emperor level like me, they will still not be able to withstand the erosion of time. This problem may not matter to men, but it is for women. Shui Yan and I can maintain our appearance forever because we have another opportunity." June Mo Xie skimmed over this topic. To a woman, if she sees her lover and sisters able to retain their youthful looks and not age, while she herself has to face the moment of aging, that is undoubtedly an extremely cruel thing. I don't want to see them sad in the future, and I don't want to lose them. They are my women, so I will naturally love them with all my ability. June Moxie said deeply. However, there's only one way to solve the problem of aging, and that's to consume the exquisite lotus and the 7-colored holy fruit at the same time. Apart from that, there is no other way. As June Moxie spoke up to hear, Meow Xiao Meow's eyes flickered, and she said indifferently, "So you set your sights on the Heaven Saint Palace and the Misty Mansion? For the person you love?" "That's right," June Moxie said. "In Chrysanthemum City, I will fight against the 3 holy lands, and the bargaining chip is the exquisite lotus. In the end, they lost, so I went to the Heaven Saint Palace, and according to the bet, I obtained the exquisite lotus, and you have already experienced the fruits of the exquisite lotus that I cultivated. As for the 7-colored holy fruit, it's even more difficult to obtain it. The first problem is that I have no way of entering the misty, illusory manner. So when I was in Chrysanthemum City, I planted a hint of the free and natural physique. Then you used your so-called free and natural physique to swindle Chao Guofeng's trust, and you even set up obstacles along the way, making them spend so much effort to send you into the misty mansion." Meow Xiao Meow laughed coldly. "Evil monarch, what a good scheme, what a good scheme. Everyone is played in the palm of your hand. Before this, I've only heard of the phrase turning the clouds with a flip of the hand and rain with a flip of the hand. But Lord Monarch, you have truly shown this little girl what it means to have clouds with a flip of the hand and rain with a flip of the hand. That's right. I finally entered the misty mansion as I wished. My original plan was to find the 7-colored holy fruit, then steal it silently and leave. After I succeeded, Mo Junyi would completely disappear. As for the 7-colored holy tree that I obtained, I would not let anyone see it, and I believe that no one would suspect me. Since the topic had already been brought out, June Moxie did not hide anything. He did not say anything. But you did not expect that the 7-colored holy tree was actually not in the Misty Mansion, but in another independent space. So you used the same trick again, and set your sights on me. Meow Xiao Meow chuckled coldly. I have to say, a silly lass like me is really too easy to deceive. No wonder you would set your sights on me. And the truth has proven that you succeeded. Your schemes are flawless. The truth is not like that. June Moxie said angrily. From the start to the end, I have never thought of making use of you. From entering the Misty Mansion, to Gu Fei Yu's provocation, and then I retaliated to the Zhan family's challenge, Xiao Miao. When have I ever made use of you? Manor Lord June, please do not call me Xiao Miao. Meow Xiao Miao exploded. This is a form of address that only my closest kin have the right to use. You are not worthy. You do not have the right. June Moxie took a deep breath and said, Fine, I will not call you that. After I figured out the whole story, I tried my best to obtain a slot to enter the Misty Mansion's spiritual herbal gardens. That bet with the Zhan family was also for this reason. As for your slot, I have never thought of taking it for myself. You will not deny this, right? Meow Xiao Meow's eyes were empty as she turned to the side and nodded slowly. It's just that the affairs of the world are too mysterious. Plans will never be faster than changes. After the Zhan family failed, they were unwilling and determined to get rid of me. But it was you who risked your life to save me. Although I was grateful, I also made up my mind to keep a distance from you. Because this kind of friendship, I cannot afford it. I knew that if I had dated you back then, when the day came when the truth was revealed, it would most likely end up like this. I do not dare, nor can I afford it. So, when you went to find me that day, I deliberately brought up the matter of you having another wife outside and rejected you. June Moxie squeezed his eyes shut and said, I really did not want to hurt you, but you were far more infatuated and determined than I had imagined. After you returned that day, you actually fell into a coma. June Moxie gasped in pain. Your infatuation, your determination, forced me to a dead end. I could not watch you fall into an eternal slumber like that. So I chose to save you. Even if I'm the so-called evil monarch, with a huge influence and powerful strength, I'm still a man at the end of the day. You're such a beautiful and gentle woman, and you're so deeply in love with me. How could I not be tempted? How could I not like you? From the moment I decided to save you, I had already treated you as my woman, my June Moxie's woman. June Moxie's voice was low as he said, Perhaps you don't know? My mother, because of my father's accidental death, fell into a deep sleep under extreme grief, just like you. She slept for a whole 10 years, and she would rather be immersed in her dreams than wake up. Mother's pain, mother's love. Let me know that I cannot let the tragedy happen to you again. So, no matter what I have to face, I must wake you up and keep you by my side. June Moxie looked at her firmly. I will give you happiness. Since I have made my choice, I will not hesitate, nor will I regret it. From that moment on, I have never run away from our feelings. June Moxie said in a low voice, Until I left, until now, my feelings for you are true. Is Manor Lord June done? Meow Xiao Meow smiled faintly and said coldly, And are you done explaining? When June Moxie heard that, he knew that she did not hear much of it, and he could not help but sigh. Perhaps it's just like you said, everything you do has its own reasons. Meow Xiao Meow said softly, You treat your wives well. For them, you can do anything. You could do anything to obtain the elixir of immortality for them. This is what you should do as a man, as a husband. I understand you, and I don't even blame you. But have you ever thought about how many people you have hurt with this action? In the Misty Mansion, Chao Guofeng and the other 7 holy emperors saw you as the hope of the 7 of them, and they treated you with even more affection than their own sons and nephews. But you lied to them. From the beginning to the end, you lied to them through and through. Also, all the elders in the Misty Mansion saw you as the future hope of the Misty Mansion, and they all chose to support you with all their strength. As for you, you deceive them all the same. As for me, you do not need to feel guilty. You did not lie to me. Meow Xiao Meow smiled sadly and said, I am not being sarcastic. I am speaking from the bottom of my heart. My husband is Mo Junyi. My husband is Mo Junyi. He did not lie to me. He treated me very well, really well. I am his wife, his woman. But he is no longer here. Mo Junyi is still here. I am Mo Junyi. Jun Moxie roared. Chapter 1091. Jun Moxie was completely powerless. How can you accept this truth? Say it. As long as you say it, I can do it. I can definitely do it. Jun Moxie said in a low voice. Really? Then I want my Junie back. I want my lover back. I only want this. Meow Xiao Meow screamed at the top of her lungs. Give me back my Junie. Give me back my heart. Give it back to me. I want my Junie. I want my husband. I want my man. I want to grow old with him. I want to bear his children. I want to never be separated from him. Meow Xiao Meow burst into tears and suddenly pounced on Jun Moxie, grabbing his clothes and screaming, Liar! Give me back my Junie. Give me back my happiness. Give it back to me. Give it back to me. She used her hands to hit him crazily, tears and mucus flowing down her face, bringing with it a deep despair. Jun Moxie stood still. His heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. He, who had lived 2 lives, had never felt so uncomfortable before. He suddenly understood. He had always thought that he was Mo Junyi, and Mo Junyi was just another identity. As long as the 2 identities became one, everything would naturally be resolved. But now he knew that everything was just his imagination. Because the person Meow Xiao Meow fell in love with was Mo Junyi, not Jun Moxie. It had never been like that. Mo Junyi and Jun Moxie were 2 completely different people. Different personalities, different identities, different appearances, and different temperaments. A woman's heart was like this. Her heart was already filled with one Mo Junyi. Naturally, there would be no room for another Jun Moxie. If she were to suddenly tell her that the 2 people in her heart were actually one person, perhaps an outsider would accept it very quickly and even feel that it was nothing. But for Meow Xiao Meow, it was a totally different concept. Was accepting Mo Jun Yi the same as accepting Jun Moxie? This was different. This was equivalent to falling in love with someone else. It might sound ridiculous, but it was an indisputable fact. If it were Mei Shuyan, Guan Qinghan, and the others, if they were told that Jun Moxie had never existed and that the one who existed was Mo Junyi, they would not be able to accept it either. Meow Xiao Meow was undoubtedly a very traditional woman. She was soft on the outside, but hard on the inside. She could be as soft as water, but she could be as hard as fire. She could be as unyielding as fire. She would never allow her sacred love to be blasphemed like this. Nor would she allow the person in her heart to become someone else. For example, a woman was in love with Huang Feihong, but she was asked to marry Jet Li. Was it possible? Although everyone on Earth knew that Huang Feihong was a character played by Jet Li, this was a dead knot that was hard to get out of. Meow Xiao Meow cried sadly for a while until she felt weak and lost all her courage. She leaned on the table and fell asleep. Even in her sleep, her body twitched from time to time, and tears kept flowing out of her eyes. Such a blow was simply unbearable for a delicate young girl like her. Jun Moxie looked at Meow Xiao Meow, who was leaning on the table helplessly. He felt that his heart was in a mess, as if it was being cut by a knife. There was a sound coming from the door. It was Mei Shuyan who walked in lightly. She looked at Jun Moxie and asked softly, "She can't accept it?" Jun Moxie smiled bitterly and nodded, then let out a long sigh. "Isn't this all because of you?" Mei Shuyan sighed and looked at the sleeping Meow Xiao Meow and said, "She's a good girl. Don't let her down." Jun Moxie stood up slowly and said in distress, "I don't want to let her down, but Shuyan, what do you think we should do?" "Do what we should do." Mei Shuyan rolled her eyes at him and said, I just didn't expect that we would still not be able to. She let out a long sigh. When Miao Xiao Miao came here, Mei Shuyan had already discussed this matter with Guanqing Han. The two girls thought about it from the standpoint of Miao Xiao Miao. The more they thought about it, the more they felt that this matter was very troublesome. When they saw Miao Xiao Miao's wholehearted love for Mo Junyi, the two girls cursed in their hearts. This girl obviously loved Jun Moxie's other identity, Mo Junyi, to the bone. So Mei Shuyan planned for all the girls to make a move at the same time and put on a good show of all the girls being jealous and forcing Jun Moxie. With Jun Moxie's talent, he would slowly overlap with the Mo Junyi in Miao Xiao Miao's heart. Moreover, Duga Xiao, you would often remind them vaguely. Once this matter was exposed, it would get out of hand. Only this kind of vague reminder, this kind of thing, only Miao Xiao Miao herself could realize it and slowly reverse it was the best solution. If Miao Xiao Miao had realized that Mo Junyi might be Jun Moxie at that time, then it wouldn't be too difficult to expose it later. As long as the girls played around and slowly accepted it, it would be over. But they didn't expect that Miao Xiao Miao would trust Mo Junyi wholeheartedly. She didn't doubt him at all. The good show that was carefully planned by the girls actually became a complete self-entertainment. In the end, Jun Moxie had to reveal the helpless truth himself. In order not to embarrass Miao Xiao Miao, Mei Shuyan drove Duga Xiao Yi's group of super curious girls far away and let Guanqing Han watch them. But now that things had developed to this point, even Mei Shuyan was helpless. It was really too complicated. I'm afraid this will be very difficult to change, at least in a short time. Mei Shuyan looked at Miao Xiao Miao with some pity and said, her current situation can be said to be that she hates you to the bone. To use an extreme analogy, her current situation is equivalent to us suddenly receiving the bad news that you were killed. It's completely unacceptable, or even more serious. After all, in our situation, we can still take revenge on someone, but she doesn't even have this target. You destroyed her Junyi, destroyed her love. You, Jun Moxie, are her great enemy. But although Jun Moxie isn't Mo Junyi is still Jun Moxie. She can't take revenge on the person she loves the most and can't even face it. If I were her, I would also be at a loss. The only way is to wait patiently and let her think it through. Only when she thinks it through can this matter be solved perfectly. Give her a little more time. In this situation, any action will only cause the opposite effect. But this little time, how long will it take? I'm really worried. I'm afraid that she will fall into a nightmare like last time. Jun Moxie sighed. If you just wait, this time will not change, even if the heavens and earth turn old. If you don't want to leave any regrets in your heart, then you have to think of a way to change her. Let her go from deeply liking Mo Junyi to deeply falling in love with Jun Moxie. Let the latter replace the former. Mei Shuyan turned her body and said indifferently, this is a long process. For such an unyielding girl, if you want to change her love, it's very difficult. It's destined to be very difficult. But no matter how difficult it is your responsibility. An unavoidable responsibility. You have to do it. Mei Shuyan said heavily. Yes, this is my responsibility. I have to do it, and I have to do it well. Jun Moxie's eyes turned sharp and resolute. Go, capture this girl and bring her back. Something that even Mo Junyi can do. How can the evil monarch Jun Moxie not be able to do it? Don't forget, you still have a huge advantage, and that is, she is already your woman long ago. This matter is difficult to say and difficult to do, but there are still some shortcuts that can be taken. As Mei Shuyan spoke, there was a hint of jealousy in her voice. Her beautiful eyes glanced sideways, carrying a hint of hidden bitterness. Miao Xiao Miao is already Jun Moxie's woman, but I, this big wife in name, am still a virgin. I even have to help him think of ways to pick up girls and win back the hearts of other women. What shortcuts? Jun Moxie asked anxiously. You're usually a smart person, but why are you so stupid now? Didn't I say it just now? Mo Junyi is Jun Moxie, but Jun Moxie is not Mo Junyi. You don't need her fall in love with someone else and abandon Mo Junyi for you. Jun Xiao. You just need to let her understand that the one who made the vow to her is you, Jun Moxie, and the two of them are the same person. Do I have to explain this so clearly? Mei Shuiyan snorted and said, You have to grasp this point yourself. Jun Moxie fell into deep thought. I'll bring her to rest first. You can think of a way to settle the Misty Mansion yourself. Mei Shuiyan rolled her eyes at him. Jun Xiao kept on stuttering and suddenly became smart. He said, Shui Yin, are you feeling a little unbalanced in your heart? They've already done that with me, but you haven't done that with me. AI, if you weren't so conservative, if you were willing to let go earlier, wouldn't we have already done that? Even now, we're already that. This part needs everyone to translate, experience, and think deeply, explore and explore. This fellow is also strange. He didn't have many ways to deal with Miao, Xiao Miao, or even Duga Xiaoi. But towards Mei Shuiyan, who was publicly acknowledged to be the most difficult to deal with, he had his ways. Get lost. What nonsense are you talking about? This, and that. Aren't you worried about Sister Xiao Miao? Mei Shuiyan's face instantly turned red. From the looks of it, Jun Xiao was just trying to find joy in the midst of suffering. Hearing that, he shrunk his head and sighed. Mei Shuiyan lightly carried Miao, Xiao Miao, and suddenly said in shock, This lass is really unyielding. Why did she do this? Jun Moxie is not Mo Junyi, but Mo Junyi is Jun Moxie. Is there a need to be so stubborn? Jun Moxie turned around and saw that the table Miao, Xiao Miao, was crawling on was covered in a large puddle of blood. This was definitely not a result of her vomiting blood unintentionally. She had purposefully used her Xian Qi to spit out. Mei Shuiyan let out a long sigh and carried Miao, Xiao Miao, only to hear the unconscious Miao, Xiao Miao mumbling, I only want my Junyi, I don't want you, I don't owe you anything. The exquisite lotus that you gave me, I spit out. I don't owe you anything. This girl was actually unyielding to this extent. Chapter 1092. Jun Moxie only felt a torrential pain in his heart. Even with Jun Moxie's mental fortitude, he could not help but clutch at his chest and stumble back onto the chair. Miao Xiao Miao's words were like an unstoppable bolt of lightning, piercing deeply into his heart the moment it left his mouth, as if it carried an irresistible might, causing Jun Moxie's internal organs to burn. Jun Moxie sat on the chair in a daze, not moving at all. Miao Xiao Miao, this infatuated girl whom he had always rejected, had finally allowed him to open his heart and accept her after a series of coincidences and fortuitous encounters. At this moment, he was deeply shaken. In the Misty Mansion, she had risked her life to protect him. When she was rejected, her heart was filled with despair, and she fell into a deep slumber. During the heavenly tribulation, she had cut her own throat to protect him from the heavenly tribulation, and the girl who had offered herself to him wholeheartedly just to please him, facing the domineering, evil monarch, she had still brazenly protected her lover. Even if someone else was stronger than her lover, she would not say a single bad word about her lover. She would not doubt him, and would not waver in the slightest. It was as if in this lifetime, she only had one Mo Junyi. That was all. This kind of heart was undoubtedly very extreme, but this extreme was also extremely shocking. As someone who had lived two lives, ever since Jun Moxie's soul transmigrated to the Xian continent, his life had always been smooth sailing. Even if he met with some difficulties, he could rely on his own intelligence and strength to overcome them. But today's problem was not something that could be solved with intelligence or powerful Xian skills. The evil monarch, who had always been wise and resourceful, was actually helpless at this moment. Although Mei Shuiyan had given him a relatively feasible direction, to Jun Moxie, it was easier said than done. No matter how perfect the plan was, it was all just empty talk. It was more likely that it was just his own wishful thinking. Previously, he had also imagined that if he told Miao Xiao Miao the truth, she might be unhappy for a moment, but she would still forgive him and accept him because of their true feelings for each other. But he had neglected the fact that her lover was Mo Junyi, and not June Moxie. After the truth was revealed to Meow Xiao Meow, June Moxie was definitely not her lover. He was the murderer who destroyed her love and killed the person she loved the most. She hated him the most in her life. Perhaps it was a little too much to say, but it was not far off. June Moxie let out a long sigh helplessly as he watched Mei Shuiyan carry Meow Xiao Meow out. He stood in front of the window for a long time and suddenly gave an order. Go and see how the banquet is progressing. If it's almost done, invite Senior Meow Zhan, Meow Dao, and Meow Jian from Misty Mansion to come up. Clearly, June Moxie intended to eliminate all the consequences of this matter in the evil monarch manner. Before he finished, someone said from outside, reporting to young master, the 3 holy lands Mo Wu Dao and the other sect lords are in the guest hall. They wish to meet with Manor Lord to discuss some important matters. June Moxie furrowed his brows and paused for a moment before saying, since that's the case, tell them that I'll go over now. Although June Moxie wanted to discuss this matter with Meow Zhan and the rest, but the short moment of contemplation made him calm down a little. The current situation could be said to be extremely strange. If he had contacted the 3 Meow family elders earlier, he believed that although the 3 of them would be rather unhappy about him sneaking in a Misty Mansion in disguise, as long as he showed enough sincerity and promised that he would give Meow Xiao Meow a sufficient status, this matter would not be too difficult. In the eyes of Meow Xiao Meow, Mo June Yi had disappeared forever because of June Moxie. But to the Meow family, and even the entire Misty Mansion, Mo June Yi and June Moxie were merely 2 different names. As long as the person was still the same, there would be no problem. This was the reality of the superpowers, aristocratic families, and aristocratic families. If June Moxie had used this method, things would definitely develop more smoothly than before, and there wouldn't even be any ripples. If he used this method, the only one who would lose would be Meow Xiao Meow. She would have to bear the double blow of being deceived by the person she loved the most, and the betrayal of her family. But to the aristocratic families, even if Meow Xiao Meow was the most precious daughter of the Meow family, she was definitely not as valuable as an ally like the evil monarch manor. It was a pity that June Moxie's feelings for Meow Xiao Meow were real. He was unable to face his woman with a materialistic heart, so he chose to tell Meow Xiao Meow this difficult truth first. It was his true feelings that had caused this tragic situation. Right now, if the 3 Meow family elders knew about Meow Xiao Meow's current situation, they would definitely not give him a good attitude. And his mood was even worse, and the fire in his heart was extremely stifled. If a conflict broke out between the 2 of them, it would instead cause the situation to worsen. It was better to make contact with the 3 holy lands first. It would also be good if he could take the opportunity to vent his anger. Jun Daxiao came to the small guest room and saw that there were only 3 people seated inside. Mo Wu Dao, Shi Ruo Chun, and Huyin Ao Bo. In June Moxie's eyes, the cultivation of any one of these 3 sect lords was not considered very high. Even if the 3 of them joined hands to surround him, June Moxie had the confidence to kill them in a single move. But for them to have the guts to dismiss their guards and sit here alone, it was already a great display of sincerity. This was undoubtedly a kind of attitude. This was the evil monarch manor, and this was the opening ceremony of the evil monarch manor. They were certain that this evil monarch, June Moxie, would not dare to do anything to the 3 of them. If the location of the meeting was within the 3 holy lands, or even the headquarters of the 3 holy lands, they might not dare to be so confident. They had the guts in the other party's territory, but lacked the confidence in their own territory. This was truly a strange phenomenon. Manor Lord June is indeed a man of great talent and bold vision. In just a short span of a year, you've grown from an ordinary aristocratic family that still had to tremble in fear to protect themselves in the secular world to a super force that can shake the world with a stomp of your feet. Although we are enemies, I can't help but feel impressed. Mo Wu Dao chuckled and said, because if it was me, I would definitely not be able to do it. This sentence of his was undoubtedly a sincere compliment, but it was also an opening line. With his status, anyone would know that this conversation had already started well for him to say such compliments. It was a pity that the timing of his words was too inopportune. Right now, Jun Dashao had a belly full of anger that he had nowhere to vent. Rolling his eyes, he laughed coldly and said, "Of course you can't do it, because you are Mo Wu Dao, and I am Jun Moxie. You don't dare to compare yourself to me, so you do have some self-awareness." When this extremely harsh sentence was said, it almost caused Mo Wu Dao to spit out blood from anger. Mo Wu Dao's face was full of smiles as he waited for Jun Moxie's reply. As the saying goes, give a peach in return for a plum, and Mo Wu Dao felt that he had already lowered his stance enough. Furthermore, he was only waiting for Jun Moxie's humility before he led the conversation to the main topic. But who would have thought that this fellow's attitude would be so vile? In this way, it seemed like Mo Wu Dao had failed to suck up to Jun Moxie and instead ended up being kicked in the leg. This kind of depression was naturally indescribable. Manor Lord Jun, the three of us did not come from afar just to congratulate the evil monarch on the opening of the evil monarch manor. Shi Ruo Chan frowned and said slowly. The meaning behind his words was undoubtedly that if it was just for the opening of the evil monarch manor, they could have just sent anyone else. There was no need for the three sect lords to come personally, and the truth was as such. Oh, so the three of you didn't come here to congratulate the opening of the evil monarch manor? This sect lord has been thinking too much. But I wonder why the three of you have come. Could it be that you're here to find a wife? Jun Moxie's reply this time was even more intense. It could be said that he was using all sorts of sarcasm and sarcasm. They were originally enemies, and there was no possibility of resolving the enmity between them. How could Jun Moxie let them off easily? Not to mention that they had a stomach full of anger. Even if they weren't, they would definitely not be polite. This is the Tian Fa Forest. I wonder if the three of you have your eyes on the beast under the Monkey King or the Bear King. If the three of you are too embarrassed to speak, or if there is no suitable matchmaker, I, Jun Moxie, am willing to act as a mediator and act as a matchmaker. Even if I'm returning the favor of the three of you coming from afar to congratulate the opening of my evil monarch manor. Although I know that I'm condescending, the three of you need not be overly flattered. I'm a very easy person to talk to. When the three of them saw that he was like a mad dog, opening his mouth to bite people and speaking nonsense as if he was speaking the truth, all of them were extremely angry. They had truly never seen a sect lord like you, without the slightest air of a leader. He was no different from a hoodlum. While sighing with emotion, they were also glad that there were only the four of them here. If their conversation was heard by others in the hall just now, where would the three of them keep their faces? They didn't even know to what extent the so-called finding a wife would be twisted by others. The three of them knew that if they continued arguing, it would most likely be a huge battle. Huyan Albo's face darkened as he said, "Manor Lord Jun, the three of us have come here this time for the sake of the peace of the Xian continent and the peace of the world. The war for seizing the heavens that will decide the fate of the future is just around the corner. We can only work together to tide through this crisis. As for the grudges between our four families, it's not too late to discuss it after the war for seizing the heavens. With the world before us, a little personal grudge is not worth mentioning. Xian continent, the people of the world, what has it got to do with me?" Jun Moxie rolled his eyes and raised his eyebrows. Isn't this daddy also one of the people of the world? But when this daddy was being bullied, hunted, and killed, why didn't you righteous people step out to protect the people of the world? Now that this daddy's power has grown and my wings have hardened, you want me to save the people of the world and the peace of the continent? Do I have such an obligation? The world has never given me anything, so why should I give the world? Chapter 1093. The three of them couldn't help but be taken aback. They had never imagined that Jun Moxie would actually say such harsh words. If Jun Moxie's words were spread throughout the pugilistic world, the evil monarch manor would immediately become the public enemy of the pugilistic world, or even the entire continent. If it was any other day, the three of them would probably be overjoyed. They were just worrying about how to deal with the evil monarch manor. But June Moxie had actually given them such a huge gift. But the war for seizing the heavens was imminent, and the evil monarch manor's forces could not be lacking. If the evil monarch manor really refused to participate in the battle, it would be equivalent to announcing the defeat of the war for seizing the heavens in advance. The three of them had a feeling that this little thief, June Moxie, must have lost control of his emotions because of some unforeseen event and came to vent it on the three of them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lost his composure like this. It was a pity that the timing was not right. Otherwise, it would be a great opportunity to eradicate the evil monarch manor. But now, they could only sigh helplessly. Coming here to discuss official matters with this fellow today was like playing the lute to a cow. There would definitely not be any results. If they continued to discuss, then there would really be no room for negotiation. There would definitely not be any progress, and the discussion would only end in failure. But once the discussion broke down, no one could bear the consequences. This fellow was like a firecracker, exploding at the slightest touch. He was even a firecracker with a huge amount of explosives. Once ignited, it would definitely explode to death. Since Manor Lord June is not in a good mood today, then we can discuss it another day. This matter concerns the lives of the world and the future of the continent. We cannot be careless. Saying that, the three of them stood up and bade farewell. Who told you that I'm not in a good mood? My mood is very good, especially good. June Moxie glared at them, looking as if he was about to kill them. The three of them pretended not to hear him, treating it as if this fellow was farting and left on their own. You can discuss it as you like. You can't discuss it as you like. How can there be such a good thing in the world? To tell you the truth, after today, this daddy won't have the time to entertain you anymore. Discuss. Discuss your granny's head. At this moment, June Dashao had a belly full of anger, but nowhere to vent it. He felt his palms itching, his throat burning, his heart racing, and his blood boiling. It was as if he had to kill a few people to calm down. Glaring at the backs of the three people, he jumped up and roared. It was as if he was saying, "Why don't you talk back? If you dare open your mouth, I'll kill you." The self-restraint of Mo Wudao and the other two was truly exceptional. They actually pretended not to hear anything and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. June Dashao finally vented some of his anger after cursing and swearing. Plopping down on the tea table, he picked up the teapot and gulped down half of it. Suddenly, he heard someone reporting, "Young Master, Zhan Wufeng of the Zhan family from the Misty Mansion requests an audience." "Let them in." June Moxie slammed the teapot on the coffee table, squinted, and crossed his legs. Lord Monarch?" The moment Zhan Wufeng brought the two Saint Emperors of the Zhan family in, they saw this evil monarch sitting on the tea table like a king, crossing his legs and looking at them in a frivolous manner. It was as if he was the king of the forest, a lion looking at three wild rabbits. Is this person really the evil monarch from the main hall? His aura and demeanor are completely different. Don't tell me it's someone else pretending to be him. The experts of the Misty Mansion Zhan family, please take a seat. June Moxie forced a smile on his face, but he was pondering in his heart. This time, the lineup from the Misty Mansion seemed a little strange. Miao Zhan, Miao Dao, and Miao Jian were already enough. But what were these people from the Zhan family doing here? It seemed a little redundant, right? Could this be Miao Jingyun's plan to kill with a borrowed knife? But they didn't say it out loud. Zhan Wufeng does not dare to accept Manor Lord's praise. Manor Lord June, this Zhan has come here this time to discuss the possibility of our cooperation. Zhan Wufeng furrowed his brows slightly. He didn't know whether he should stand or sit, and his heart was filled with awkwardness. This evil monarch's way of treating his guests was truly strange. To actually sit on the coffee table himself. Then what do you expect us guests to do? It's not respectful enough to stand, but once we sit down, wouldn't we be admitting that we're a head shorter than you? The two holy emperors behind him revealed looks of anger. This June Moxie truly did not know any etiquette. Cooperation. June Moxie tilted his head. What kind of cooperation? Jean Wu Feng felt as if he had swallowed a fly. He had taken the initiative to seek cooperation with Jun Mo Xie. This was already giving him a lot of face. But who would have thought that this fellow would actually be so arrogant? That attitude. It's as if my Jean family is trying to curry favor with him. Jean Wu Feng had stayed in the Misty Mansion for many years. Although he had heard that this evil monarch was an extremely powerful character, he didn't know as much as he did in the outside world. This evil monarch's fame and reputation was something that one could not feel directly from just listening to the rumors. Furthermore, the people in the Misty Mansion all had a high and mighty attitude towards the Xian continent. Even the three holy lands were not in their eyes. And this kind of thinking was especially true for the Zhan family, who had the highest status in the Misty Mansion. Thus, although Jean Wu Feng was surprised by the strength of this evil monarch, he did not think much of it. The only thing that caught his eye was Jun Moxie's age. He had quite a bit of room to grow, and it was convenient to borrow his strength. Even if they really wanted to cooperate with the evil monarch manor, it still depended on the future. If one day, the evil monarch manor's strength grew and completely suppressed the three holy lands, then they would naturally join forces to the end. But if the evil monarch manor situation was not good, and they fell into a disadvantageous position against the three holy lands, then the Zhan family could even secretly join forces with the holy lands to completely destroy this evil monarch's strength in the shortest time possible. Then, they would receive him into the Misty Mansion, and he would become part of the Zhan family's strength. The topic of cooperation is naturally the vast space of the Xian continent. In other words, our Zhan family will do our best to help you replace the three holy lands and sit firmly on the position of the hegemon of the continent. Jean Wu Feng said lightly. He was confident that this sort of temptation to a hegemon like Jun Moxie was definitely an irresistible temptation. Oh, your offer is really generous. So generous that it's hard for me to refuse. But since it's a cooperation, both sides should benefit each other. What do I need to pay in return? Jun Moxie's expression did not change as he asked lightly. Don't tell me that your Zhan family is willing to let me rule the world unconditionally just because you see that I'm pleasing to the eye, while you don't want anything in return. Manor Lord's thoughts are not wrong. We naturally have our own motives. Jean Wu Feng looked at Jun Moxie's expression and slowly smiled, as if he could already see through Jun Moxie's heart. Tell me about it. It's just a very simple request. We need some resources unique to the Xian continent. Manor Lord, you will be responsible for providing them, and these resources will only be provided to the Zhan family. Jean Wu Feng's eyes narrowed as he smiled. Only provided to the Zhan family? Does this mean that it cannot be given to the Miao family? Jun Moxie suddenly smiled faintly. There was an inexplicable meaning in that smile. His right hand seemed to subconsciously rub his nose, and he used 3 fingers to rub his chin before putting it down again. It's not just limited to the Miao family. Apart from the Zhan family, all the other powers in the Misty Mansion are also included in this restriction. After all, the 2 parties involved in this cooperation are the evil Monarch Manor and our Zhan family, and not the Misty Mansion. Jean Wu Feng narrowed his eyes, and Ling Ling smiled. To put it more simply, it's easier for everyone to be honest. The Zhan family will help Manor Lord to dominate the Xian continent, and Manor Lord will help our Zhan family to dominate the Misty Mansion. To put it bluntly, that's what it's all about. Can I understand it this way? Your Zhan family wants to make use of these resources to defeat the current ruling family of the Misty Mansion, the Miao family, in the struggle for power in the Misty Mansion. And you can use these resources to increase the Zhan family's influence in the Misty Mansion, ultimately forcing the Miao family to abdicate, allowing your Zhan family to become the new ruling family of the Misty Mansion, or even completely control the entire Misty Mansion. Jun Moxie nodded his head slowly. And the things that you want this sect to provide, the Misty Mansion either doesn't have them at all, or only has a very small amount of them. In any case, it's not enough to satisfy the basic requirements of the Misty Mansion, and these things can only be provided in the Xian continent, right? In other words, without these things, the Misty Mansion will not be able to maintain itself to a certain extent. That's right. That's indeed the case. Jean Wufeng didn't expect this youth's mind to move so quickly. After thinking for a moment, he nodded his head in agreement. So, no matter which family in the Misty Mansion obtains these things, they will be able to use it as a foundation to gain control of the Misty Mansion. Jun Moxie's face darkened. But I think that these things are not so easy to obtain. Most likely, only those with a certain level of strength would be able to obtain them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be cooperating with the three Holy Lands. Because before this, only the three Holy Lands are filled with experts. Manor Lord's judgment is correct. Jean Wufeng's eyes narrowed. At this moment, Jean Wufeng finally began to view Jun Moxie's intelligence with great importance. The sharpness of this youth's mind and the accuracy of his judgment was truly shocking. It's still too early to say that my judgment is correct. I think that the thing that the Misty Mansion lacks is something that even an invincible expert would not be able to obtain too much of in one go. And it could be that there's only so much of it every year, or it could be that its quality is so special that it can only be obtained within a certain period of time during its growth process. This would require someone to guard the place for a long period of time so that it could be obtained at any time. Or perhaps it could be obtained through continuous efforts over a long period of time. Am I right? This time, Jean Wufeng did not open his mouth to speak. Instead, he fell silent. But in his heart, huge waves were surging. This Jun Moxie's analytical abilities were truly frightening. If they could obtain a lot of it in one go, then the Misty Mansion would be able to obtain enough to last for tens of thousands of years. From then on, they would be free and unfettered, no longer having to worry about being strangled by others. But since they couldn't, then there must be some special reason behind it. In that case, the deduction that Jun Moxie had made earlier could only be one of two reasons. Once this matter was revealed, it was naturally not surprising at all. But to be able to deduce at the moment he heard of this matter required an extremely sharp mind. Not even the slightest bit off. Lightning flashes and thunder rolls, torrential rain pours down. I can't help but recite a poem. Ah, what a heavy rain, what a fierce and ferocious rain, ah. And so, an unknown brother raised his eyelids and said, "Idiot." Chapter 1094. And there's a very important point that I might have overlooked. The location of this item should be somewhere within the three Holy Lands. Since it's an important item that's connected to the Misty Mansion, it's definitely classified as a top secret by the three Holy Lands. That place is definitely not a place that outsiders are allowed to enter. Even if it's the people from the Misty Mansion, there's no exception. Or rather, the people from the Misty Mansion are the most guarded against. So you can only wait for the three Holy Lands to send it out. But you can't go in and take it yourself, much less snatch it. Otherwise, your Misty Mansion could have just sent people over. With your relationship with the three Holy Lands, why wouldn't they allow it? But right now, it's their people who are doing it. They're only providing you with this item. This means that the three Holy Lands can provide this item. But the location of that item is the most important. So the most important thing is not the item, but the location. Jun Moxie's eyes were deep and unfathomable, like the waters of a deep lake. No wrong. Jean Wufeng sucked in a deep breath. These two short words were said with some difficulty. He was originally very relaxed, thinking that he had a lot of bargaining chips in his hands. No matter what, he would be able to maintain the upper hand in the negotiations. But as Jun Moxie deduced the entire situation with just one sentence, his mood also slowly became heavy. Was it a blessing or a curse to cooperate with this demon-like evil monarch? With this kind of intelligence, even if he lost in the battle with the three Holy Lands, who, in the Jean family of the Misty Mansion, would be able to control him, would they be nurturing a tiger and inviting calamity? Since this item is so important to the Misty Mansion, and this location is also highly valued by the three Holy Lands, if I want to obtain this item and cooperate with you, I'll have to uproot the three Holy Lands for this to be possible. Then, both sides will fall into a deadlock that will not rest until one side is dead. Right? Jun Mo, Xie, said solemnly. That's right. Zhang Wufeng nodded, cold sweat pouring down his forehead. It seemed like he didn't know how to say anything else other than not bad. With the strength I possess now, I already have the qualifications to be on equal footing with the three holy lands. Even though they were not as powerful as the three great holy lands under the Heaven Saint Palace, they were stronger than any one of them. In the worst-case scenario, it won't be a problem for both sides to suffer. Jun Moxie continued slowly. However, having such strength is one thing, and truly shedding all pretenses of cordiality is another matter. Once a full-scale war breaks out, it will definitely be a continuous and endless battle. It will not stop until one side is completely annihilated. The Zhang family wouldn't have thought of this, right? Jun Moxie's eyelids twitched as he raised his head slightly. Two sharp eyes shot towards Zhang Wufeng's face like lightning. In that gaze, that majestic might actually cause Zhang Wufeng to involuntarily take a step back. Yes, naturally, we have thought about this in detail. In order to show our sincerity, if the evil monarch manor really starts a war with the three holy lands, we will use all the strength of our Zhang family to assist you. I believe that this condition is sufficient to show our sincerity. Zhang Wufeng took in a deep breath and said resolutely, Sufficient sincerity? When the war breaks out, our evil monarch manor will join hands with Tian Fa Forest. If we sacrifice everything, we will definitely be able to destroy any one of the three holy lands in the shortest time possible. They could even use their remaining strength to heavily destroy the other family. But when we attack the third side, the Heaven Saint Palace will definitely appear to stop us. The first and second side, they might not be able to react in time due to the suddenness of the situation. But no matter how fast we move, even if the best result is we will only be able to destroy two sides. And the moment the Heaven Saint Palace makes their move, even if we use all our strength, we still have no chance of victory. Jun Moxie's face turned cold. But at that time, it will already be impossible for both sides to stop. The 10,000 years of heritage of our ancestors to be destroyed by our evil monarch manor. No one will be able to tolerate this. This enmity and hatred is already irreconcilable. Furthermore, so many of our juniors have been killed by me. Even if the people of the Heaven Saint Palace have the magnanimity of saints, they will not be able to accept such an ending. Only death can resolve this stalemate. With the current strength of the evil monarch manor, it will be very difficult for us to create a situation where both sides are heavily injured. The most likely outcome is that they will be heavily injured, and we in Tian Fa Forest will be completely annihilated. The strength of our evil monarch manor is simply too little. Compared to those old monsters of the Heaven Saint Palace who have lived for thousands of years, there is still a considerable gap. This is the accumulation of countless years. I believe that you all have already thought of such an outcome, right? Or perhaps this is a part of your entire plan. Jun Moxie looked at Zhang Wufeng with an interesting gaze. How is this possible? I've already made it clear that the moment the war breaks out, we will naturally send out our full support. We will definitely not sit by and watch. This is the basis of our cooperation. Zhang Wufeng hurriedly retreated 2 steps and argued. But I only believe that you will definitely not make a move at the start of the war. Jun Moxie shook his finger and smiled lightly. There's no need to defend yourself, because even if you do, I will not believe it. Perhaps you will indeed not sit by and watch the tigers fight, but you will still wait until the end of the war before you will truly charge out. With the momentum of a thunderbolt, you will settle the entire situation, destroy the Tian Fa Forest and the evil monarch manor, and wipe out the 3 holy lands, or even destroy the Heaven Saint Palace, whose strength is not at its peak. At that time, I believe that in the entire Xian continent, there will no longer be any superpower that can go against the Zhan family. Thus, the Zhan family will dominate the entire Xian continent. Don't say that I am gauging the heart of a gentleman with my own mean measure. I will think that you are insulting my intelligence. And don't say that you do not have such plans, because if you say that, I will think that all the ancestors of the Jean family are idiots. Jean Wufeng was about to say something, but he was immediately stopped by Jun Moxie. Since you have already dominated the Xian continent, then that mysterious substance will naturally fall into the hands of your Jean family. At that time, your Jean family will be able to do whatever you want in the Misty Mansion. That's equivalent to one inside and one outside, and both spaces will fall into the hands of your Jean family. So your Jean family wants to be the biggest winner in the end. If everything goes according to your plan, you still have a high chance of success, at least 80%. Jean Wufeng was completely stunned, because even he himself had never thought of all this. Even he himself only knew the part of the plan that Jun Moxie had mentioned earlier. As for how to proceed from here on, it was left to Zhang Lunhui, Zhang Wuyun, and a few others to plan. But according to the development of the continent, if everything went according to the Zhang family's plan, if they did not use the method that Jun Moxie had mentioned, then the entire Zhang family would really be a bunch of idiots who wouldn't want to take such a huge advantage. Whoever did would be an idiot. Besides, Jean Wufeng knew his own family very well and understood the way his family did things. It was completely possible for him to do such a thing. But this Jean Wufeng came here this time with sincerity to discuss the cooperation between our two families with Lord Monarch. If Lord Monarch has any doubts about the cooperation method that I have proposed, you can suggest another direction, and the Jean family will try our best to cooperate with the evil Monarch manor. Right now, it's clear that the relationship between Lord Monarch and the three Holy Lands is already hard to reconcile. And in the Misty Mansion, the Miao family is more inclined to continue the cooperation with the three Holy Lands. At most, they will not help either side. Only our Jean family can possibly stand on the side of the evil Monarch manor. Jean Wufeng said softly. That arrogant and condescending attitude from before had long disappeared. But this person's will was still strong, and even in such a situation, he was still able to speak with assurance. And what you said is also true. If the Jean family really has the sincerity to cooperate, let me consider it carefully. Jun Moxie used his finger to lightly tap his head, narrowing his eyes. Oh, I understand. Your Jean family might be sincere in cooperating with me. But this sincerity is only limited to me alone, and not the entire evil Monarch manor. Is that so? Jean Wufeng instantly felt cold sweat drenching his back. Behind him, it was already wet. His clothes were stuck tightly to his back, and the cold wind blew in through the window. Jean Wufeng only felt a chill and indescribable discomfort. But why do you want to cooperate with me? Because you want to deal with the Miao family. Jun Moxie raised his head. At this time, he finally guessed the Jean family's intentions, and it was based on his own thoughts. This is simply ridiculous. The matters of our Misty Mansion are internal affairs. How can Lord Monarch interfere? Jean Wufeng forced himself to remain calm. Lord Monarch, where did these words come from? Really ridiculous? Is there really no need for me to interfere? I'm very young, and I'm not even a few years older than that prodigy with the free and natural physique from the Misty Mansion. But my cultivation is at least 10,000 times higher than his. The moment he said the words free and natural physique, Jean Wufeng's face instantly changed. His eyes widened as he stared at Jun Moxie, as if he was looking at a monster. Jun Moxie laughed mockingly. The speed of improvement of the free and natural physique's Xian cultivation is said to be unparalleled, far surpassing the imagination of ordinary people. If the other families in the Misty Illusory Manor were to bear with it and wait for the free and natural physique to fully mature, they would definitely be able to wrest back the control of the Misty Illusory Manor from the hands of the Jean family. And it is precisely because of this that if the Jean family were to make things difficult for them, and the other families would see that things are not going well, or that a rash resistance would result in both sides suffering losses, or even a situation where both sides would perish. Perhaps they would choose to compromise and give the Jean family a complete misty, illusory manner, hoping that one day they would be able to wrest back a complete misty, illusory manner. But if I assist the Jean family, we can effectively suppress that prodigy with a free and natural physique. I believe that no matter when, he will not be able to make a comeback. This way, it would be equivalent to cutting off all the hopes of the other 7 families. As June Moxie said this, he suddenly furrowed his brows and shook his head. No, that's not right. If that's really the case, the other 7 families do not lack intelligent people. I'm afraid that they would retaliate with all their might. With 7 against 1, the Jean family would lose more than they gain. Chapter 1095. That's right. Why would our Jean family do such a foolish thing? Jean Wufeng's heart was already trembling. That's right. So that's how it is. June Moxie ignored Jean Wufeng's words. Instead, he was deep in thought. Suddenly, his furrowed brows relaxed, and he clapped his hands together, letting out a crisp sound. That's why you guys proposed such a condition earlier, and even promised to help me. If I really went against the Heaven's Saint Palace to the point where both sides suffered heavy losses, you guys would definitely think of a way to protect my life. But to announce to the public that June Moxie is already dead. This way, there will be no more problems, and all the worries will be gone. With a free and natural physique prodigy in the hands of the other 7 families, and without an opponent like me who can threaten them, they will naturally choose to compromise and take a step back. And in that case, all the goals of your Jean family would have been achieved. As long as you don't slack off and continue to accumulate your strength, coupled with me helping you deal with that free and natural physique person, everything would really be within your grasp. June Moxie smiled lightly. What a truly impressive chain of plans, one linked to the next. First, using the allure of being a supreme ruler of the world to lure this inexperienced but shockingly strong kid like me into a trap. I only need to take a step out, and everything else would be completely logical. Even if I realized it and wanted to turn back, I would have no choice but to follow this unstoppable tide all the way until you guys brought me into the Misty Mansion, completely under the control of your Jean family. Naturally, all my subordinates outside, all my family members, including all the Shin beasts in the Tianfe forest, will all die. This will make it even more convenient for you guys to control the continent. Even if I saw through this afterwards, I had to obediently submit to your Jean family for protection. June Moxie chuckled and clapped his hands, praising sincerely. Your Jean family is truly filled with geniuses. Such an exquisite chain of arrangements was truly marvelous. Especially the person who designed this move of driving the tiger to swallow the wolf, the fisherman reaping the benefits, was a genius among geniuses. Even I can't help but admire him. As long as he takes one wrong step, there will be no turning back. Manor Lord June is thinking too much. Jean Wufeng could clearly hear the cold sweat on his forehead dripping onto the ground, but he still forced himself to continue. If the Heaven Saint Palace really goes all out, our Jean family might not be able to deal with them, even if we go all out. Not to mention rescuing you safely from their hands. Manor Lord June's words are really thinking too highly of our Jean family. Although the Jean family has never been one to belittle themselves, they are not arrogant to this extent. No. You can do it. You can definitely do it. June Moxie stretched out a finger and wagged it slowly. Because in this arrangement, you can watch as the evil Monarch Manor and the Tianfe Forest forces are destroyed, but you will definitely not sit by and watch as I, the most valuable person, die. So you will definitely think of a way to save me. With regards to this, your Jean family only needs to send out a single person to accomplish this perfectly. I even believe that with that person's shocking strength, even the person with the highest authority in the Heaven Saint Palace would not be a match for him. Wanting to rescue me from their hands and flee far away is a very simple matter for this person from your Jean family. Lord June must be joking. There is no such person in the Jean family. Jean Wufeng said stubbornly. Right now, his throat was dry, and his heart was racing. There was indeed one such person in the Jean family. But this was the greatest secret of the Jean family, a secret that only the core members of the Jean family had the right to know. If June Moxie had even guessed this, then June Moxie was simply too terrifying. How could Jean Wufeng know that June Dashao had not only guessed the existence of that person, he had even seen that person long ago? Jean Wufeng, as the younger brother of the family head, do you really not know that there is such a person in your Jean family? June Moxie smiled mysteriously. Do you need me to remind you? Manor Lord June, please enlighten me. Jean Wufeng's face instantly turned into an innocent, indignant, and aggrieved expression. This Jean is completely ignorant of the plans and arrangements that Manor Lord June is talking about. Our Jean family will definitely not do such a despicable and shameless thing. We came here with the greatest sincerity, but Manor Lord June's words are the greatest humiliation to our Jean family. Humiliation is better than losing your life. Until now, do you still think that I'm bluffing? Regrettably, I truly know of that person's existence, and I'm even more clear of his identity. Jean Wufeng, you better think carefully. The moment I say the name of that special existence, not a single person from your Jean family who came here today will have a chance to return alive. Jean Wufeng, you better think carefully, ah. The moment I say it, life and death will be decided immediately. This is not a joke. Be careful, be careful. June Moxie smiled lightly, but his eyes shone with a sharp, killing intent. The cold sweat on Jean Wufeng's forehead turned into the size of soybeans, dripping down with a dripping sound. Life is precious and priceless. At the same time, it is also equal. Everyone only has one chance. There are no exceptions. June Moxie was still sitting cross-legged on the tea table, but he was no longer as lazy as before. Although he was sitting, he was like an unsheathed sword, ready to drink human blood at any moment. But his words were still light, full of mockery, full of sarcasm, full of indifference, but also full of decisiveness. In this life, a person can regret anything, but when it comes to the choice of life and death, you can't. Jean Wufeng's body began to tremble. Every word that June Moxie said was like a heavy hammer falling on his heart. Step by step, he was forced onto the path of life and death. Apart from the core members of the Jean family, even the people in the Misty Mansion did not know of Jean Luen Huey's existence. June Moxie was far away in the Tiannan continent. How could he know? He must be tricking me. If he wasn't tricking me, why would he keep trying to be mysterious? As long as I dare to bet on this, it will be enough to prove the Jean family's sincerity, and the Jean family will be able to make use of June Moxie, make use of the evil monarch manor, make use of the Tian Fa forest. Then the Jean family will be able to live for generations to come. I, Jean Wufeng, will be the greatest contributor to the Jean family. But if June Moxie really said Jean Luen Huey's name, then there was only one word that awaited him: death. This choice looked very simple, but it was also very difficult, because the stake of this bet was his own life. Looking at the murderous intent in June Moxie's eyes, he absolutely believed that this evil monarch would dare to kill him. An expert who dared to challenge even the 3 holy lands alone, a saint venerable expert. Why wouldn't he dare to kill a mere person like him? No matter how great the Jean family's influence was, it could not compare to the combined might of the 3 holy lands. As for their strength, it was far inferior. Under the pressure of June Moxie's powerful aura, the 2 holy emperors behind him were already sweating profusely. Their hands were already slippery, and they could no longer hold onto the hilt of their swords firmly. June Moxie's aura was so oppressive that they didn't even dare to move a single hair on their body. But the other party was still able to speak so calmly, and his tone had not even changed. And Zhang Wuyun did not even feel it at all, because it was enough for him to feel fear in his heart. If he was as nervous as the 2 of them, then his body would be even stiffer than the 2 of them. Expert from the Jean family, have you considered it? June Moxie looked at him warmly. I'm not a person with much patience, especially towards those who have set up a trap to deal with me. I've considered it. Manor Lord June, please answer this Jean's doubts. Just which earth-shattering expert in the Jean family is capable of facing all the experts of the Heaven Saint Palace alone, rescuing people, and leaving calmly? Jean Wu Feng sucked in a deep breath, his eyes burning with passion. If Manor Lord June is unable to say it, then it proves that all of Manor Lord June's previous conjectures are unjustifiable and are all just conjectures. This also proves the sincerity of our Jean family in cooperating with Manor Lord June. Our proposal of cooperation is still valid. There is a very outstanding youth in the younger generation of the Jean family. I'm naturally not talking about those two dead fools, Jean Qingfeng and Jean Yushu, so you don't have to be in a hurry to deny it. June Moxie's eyes turned merciless. According to the rumors, the Nine-Nether First Young Master had 4 personal disciples. The youngest disciple is called Miao Qing Cheng, the founder of the Misty Mansion. And Miao Qing Cheng took in 8 disciples in the Misty Mansion. They're the founders of the 8 great families. And one of them has the surname Jean, the founder of the Jean family. I'm not interested in what his name was in the past, but I know that he's a real monster. He's actually not dead after such a long time. Brother Jean, do you know who this person is? Jean Wufeng's entire body turned cold. I've also heard that this old bastard is extremely inhumane. In order to escape death, every few hundred years, or even 1,000 years, he would choose a person with excellent aptitude from his descendants and occupy the body of that person so that he could continue to live. And this kind of old bastard, I really don't understand why the Jean family is supporting him. June Moxie scoffed. But the thing that left the deepest impression on me was that this person did not feel ashamed of slaughtering his own descendants. Instead, he was pleased with himself, thinking that even reincarnation could not do anything to him. He actually gave himself a name, Jean Luen Hui. Tisk TSK. This person really doesn't know the meaning of death. Reincarnation is the heavenly Tao, and he's merely a spirit that managed to escape by luck. He actually has the cheek to say the word Jean, truly overestimating his own capabilities. The ridicule in June Moxie's eyes had completely turned into a murderous intent. Jean Wufeng, I've already said my piece. You can also go on your way. June Moxie shook his leg. Please walk on the path that your ancestor declared to fight. Reincarnation. This is impossible. How did you know? Jean Wufeng suddenly cried out in fear and despair. The moment he said the 3 words Jean Luen Hui, he knew that he was finished. The other party was not wrong at all. Even his understanding was not as clear as what June Moxie had deduced. This should be the true plan that Jean Luen Hui had come up with. How I know is not important. What's important is that I'm not the only one who knows. June Moxie said leisurely. 3 seniors. Did you hear me clearly? That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.